Chapter 273. I'll go ask around. Ning Qing patted Jin Liang on shoulder, as he walked towards the academy's assignment hall. I want to ask. Ning Qing had not even spoken a word, when he was interrupted by a female cultivator. Which assignment do you want to take? Just give me your identity jade card and the assignment number, there is no need for any nonsense. Ning Qing helplessly spoke, I want to take the 17th assignment. When the impatient-looking female cultivator heard Ning Qing's words, her hands trembled, she looked up in disbelief and repeated the sentence, you said that you want to take the 17th assignment. I asked you to explain, but you did not explain, so I had to take it directly. Ning Qing spoke in a somewhat depressed manner. The female cultivator unexpectedly did not flare up, instead she frowned and spoke, so far, including our Rainbow Fall Sword sect, all the disciples with the cultivation of Soul Essence realm or below who took the 17th assignment, none of them have returned, nor is there any news about them. Are you sure you still want to take the 17th assignment? Ning Qing already knew about this, he just asked, I want to ask, if I do not complete the assignment, and come back halfway, will I be punished? No, this assignment is voluntary. The female cultivator replied without hesitation. Ning Qing on hearing this affirmative answer, immediately spoke, good, then I will take the 17th assignment. At worst, if he discovered danger, then he would not go. In case he tried his luck, and found out something, the Academy's reward would be enough for him to cultivate in the small spiritual domain for more than a year. The female cultivator did not try to persuade Ning Qing again, as she nodded and spoke, this time there are some changes to the 17th assignment, there are also disciples from other academies, when you get there, the elders will tell you what to do. This is the assignment jade card and the map, as well as the description of the assignment. Take it, I wish you good luck. Ning Qing walked out of the assignment hall, and found Jin Liang discussing something with a few profound core cultivators. He guessed that they were planning to go out together with the assignment hall. Ning Qing and Jin Liang said their goodbyes, and immediately left the assignment hall. He did not even go back to his own place, as Ning Qing directly went to the Great Liang True Country and the Northern Shang True Country's battlefield. He was still somewhat worried about the Liang Kursan duo. As for the reason for the war between the two true countries, the Jade Strip was very vague, but there was also a general idea. A few years ago, in the territory of the Great Liang True Country, at the border between the Northern Shang True Country and the Great Liang True Country, an ancient immortal's cave suddenly appeared. The Northern Shang True Country was the first to receive this information. They immediately wanted to occupy this place and search for this ancient cave that had suddenly appeared. However, the Great Liang True Country also came to know that an ancient immortal's cave had appeared in their territory, and certainly would not allow the Northern Shang True Country to occupy it. Then, the Northern Shang True Country used the excuse that the Great Liang True Country had kidnapped the Northern Shang True Country's princess, and demanded that the Great Liang True Country hand over the princess, or else they would have to cede their territory as compensation. Because of this, the two countries went through several years of war and countless people died. In the end, this matter was still exposed, and some sects intervened in this matter. At this time, this matter had already gone out of control, and was completely beyond the control of the Great Liang True Country and the Northern Shang True Country. Once the ancient cave mansion was exposed, the war between the two countries came to a temporary halt. That was because this immortal cave was simply too ancient and huge. Moreover, only cultivators at or below the Soul Essence realm could enter it. He even heard that in the deepest part of the immortal cave, there was a place where the spiritual chi was the densest, and only cultivators below the profound congealing realm could enter it. So some of the soul essence cultivators who participated in the exploration of this immortal cave, would bring along one or two profound congealing cultivators. Otherwise, if he encountered this place, he wouldn't be able to enter it. But the strange thing was that the disciples of these sects went to the place where the two countries were fighting, and after entering this ancient cavern, they disappeared one after another. In the end, none of them returned. As for how they disappeared, no one knew. In the beginning, there was still an entrance to the cave. Towards the end, the ancient cave mansion actually gradually disappeared without a trace. Even if this ancient immortal cave disappeared, the cultivators in the soul essence realm or below who came to this immortal cave would still disappear without any warning. These disciples who came out to complete the mission were the elite disciples of the major academies, causing the crucible transformation cultivators of the major academies to immediately be unable to sit still. Some of the crucible transformation cultivators also began to come out. However, none of these crucible transformation cultivators were able to find the reason behind it. Fortunately, although the crucible transformation cultivators were not able to find the reason, they did not end up disappearing like the disciples who were on a mission. This matter had now become a mystery. As more and more disciples went missing, some of the rogue cultivators also began to take up the academy's missions, but they still ended up disappearing. As such, the number of disciples who took up this mission was also getting fewer and fewer. In order to find out the truth behind this mystery, it was necessary for some of the cultivators below the soul essence realm to participate in this mission. Only then would the crucible transformation cultivators be able to find some clues from the missing cultivators. Ning Cheng put away the jade strip, as he had already guessed it in his heart. If he took up this mission, then he would have to take up the job of a cannon fodder, or perhaps he would have to take up the job of a guinea pig. Ning Cheng was also aware of his own situation. He had already cultivated in the small spiritual domain. If he did not have the small spiritual domain in the future, then if he wanted to advance, it would be too difficult. In order to cultivate in the small spiritual domain for a year, he had to fight for it. Besides, he also had a magical weapon for escaping that others did not know about. That is, in the case of a last resort, he could crush the talisman given to him by the skeleton, allowing him to enter the bottom of the blood river. Ning Cheng's flight-type magical weapon was a medium-grade flight-type spiritual artifact. In order to arrive earlier, Ning Cheng not only activated the flight-type magical weapon at full speed, but also used the twin heavenly cloud wings. Even so, it was not until 10 days later, that he finally arrived at the location marked on the map in the jade strip. In front of his eyes was an endless desolation. There were potholes everywhere, some broken weapons and fragments of low-leveled magical weapons were strewn all over the place. In many places, even the soil was somewhat dark red, apparently because it had been contaminated by too much blood. In the places that Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could reach, other than a dark gray-colored building, there was nothing else. According to the introduction on the jade strip, Ning Cheng came to know that this dark gray-colored building was temporarily built by the major academies. If he wanted to take up this mission, then he would first have to go to this gray-colored building, and then listen to the instructions of the academy's elders. Ning Cheng put away the flight-type magical weapon, and had just walked to the entrance of the building, when he was stopped by two cultivators. "Which academy are you from?" My goodness, these two cultivators guarding the door were also in the soul sculpting realm. "This junior is Rainbow Falls Sword Sect's inner sect disciple Ning Cheng. This time I specifically came here for this mission." Ning Cheng quickly cupped his fists and replied in a polite manner. The soul sculpting cultivator on the left nodded and spoke. "The Rainbow Falls Sword Sect is on the 3rd floor, the 5th room on the left." "Many thanks." Ning Cheng once again thanked them, as he sped up the stairs. Alas, a month ago there were groups of soul essence cultivators who came to take up this mission, but now what kind of people are there? Even profound core first-level cultivators have come to take up this mission. Another soul sculpting realm cultivator, seeing Ning Cheng walk away, shook his head and spoke with a sigh. The soul sculpting cultivator who pointed out Ning Cheng's path spoke up in disapproval. "Today there were at least 3 people who came, but in the past few days, I have not seen even one of them come to take up this mission. I guess that this place will soon be demolished. Moreover, with so many disciples disappearing, there is still no clue as to what to do. This is not something that we can manage." Although Ning Cheng had already gone upstairs, he could still hear the voices of the two soul sculpting realm cultivators behind him. "Come in." Ning Cheng had just arrived at the door of the 5th room on the left side of the 3rd floor, when a voice arrived in his ears. Such a powerful cultivation, this voice was as if it was coming from the opposite side, without even half a shred of distortion. Ning Cheng did not dare to hesitate, as he quickly pushed open the door and walked in. 5 male and female cultivators were sitting inside the room, while there were 2 young cultivators standing in the middle of the room. Although the aura of these 5 male and female cultivators was not overflowing, it still gave Ning Cheng a strong sense of oppression. Ning Cheng was simply unable to see the cultivation of these 5 people, but he immediately understood that these 5 people were definitely crucible transformation cultivators. Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's inner sect disciple Ning Cheng greets the 5 seniors. Knowing that he was facing 5 crucible transformation cultivators, Ning Cheng did not dare to neglect them, as he quickly bowed and greeted them. "And, not bad, although your cultivation is a bit low, but you are quite calm." An old man on seeing Ning Cheng's calm appearance nodded. A middle-aged Confucian scholar sitting on the right side also nodded in satisfaction towards Ning Cheng and spoke, "Ning Cheng, I think you should be aware of the dangers of this mission. Even if you give up now, it would still be excusable. Up until now, none of the disciples who participated in this mission have returned, as such the news that we obtained is also very little. This mission will soon be cancelled, and will be replaced by another way to track it down." When Ning Cheng heard the words of this middle-aged Confucian scholar, he immediately came up with a few meanings. First, this mission was very dangerous, moreover letting the disciples participate in it, would only be for the cannon fodder to search for clues. Second, because the cannon fodder would obtain too little beneficial news, this mission would soon not be carried out in this way. Third, the other party wanted to persuade him to give up on this mission. For a crucible transformation cultivator to care about the life and death of an inner sect disciple, it could be seen that this crucible transformation elder was quite a good person. Ning Cheng once again cupped his fists and spoke, "Many thanks to the seniors, my Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's true inheriting disciples and core disciples are participating in this mission. I am just an inner sect disciple. Participating in the Academy's mission, contributing to the Academy, while at the same time improving one's own cultivation, it is all part of one's duty." A beautiful woman giggled and spoke, "Elder Bay, this kid from your Rainbow Fall Sword Sect really knows how to talk." When Ning Cheng heard these words, he came to understand that the 5 crucible transformation cultivators here were not all from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect, there were also people from other academies. The middle-aged Confucian scholar gave a chuckle and spoke, "Junior apprentice sister, he is overpraising me, this disciple from your star-gathering mansion and that little girl from the Severing Emotions Dao sect are much stronger than Ning Cheng." The Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's elder then directly turned to Ning Cheng and spoke, "Ning Cheng, this time you and the star-gathering mansion's Xinghai, as well as the Severing Emotions Dao sect's Bumei will go together to investigate the situation. Remember, as long as you are able to find some clues and come back, it would be equivalent to performing a meritorious deed. Here is a jade talisman. Once you find that something is wrong, immediately crush the jade talisman, and you will immediately be teleported away." "Yes, this junior understands." Ning Cheng quickly responded, as he stepped forward and received the jade talisman. Chapter 274. The middle-aged Confucian scholar from the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect on seeing Ning Cheng take the jade talisman, turned towards the 2 young men and women standing in the middle of the room and spoke with a smile, "This time our Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Ning Cheng has the lowest cultivation, the 2 of you are both at the Soul Essence first level, you must take care of junior apprentice brother Ning Cheng." The young male cultivator on hearing the middle-aged Confucian scholar's words quickly bowed and spoke, "Senior Bei, please rest assured. Xin Hai will definitely take care of junior apprentice brother Ning." The middle-aged beautiful woman stared at the young male cultivator standing in front of her and spoke, saying that you are fat yet you are still panting. The Rainbow Fall Sword Sect has a deep heritage, do not look at you as a soul essence cultivator, even if you go in, you might not necessarily be able to compare to this Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng then came to know that the 2 young man and woman standing in the middle were Xin Hai and Bu Mei who had come with him this time. Xin Hai very politely responded to the words of the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's middle-aged scholar, while that severing emotions Dao Sex Bume acted as if she did not hear it, as she still stood there motionless. Junior apprentice brother Ning, your cultivation is still too low, so you can temporarily follow behind me. Once something goes wrong, you can immediately crush the jade talisman in your hand. After Xian Hai came out, he really took care of Ning Cheng. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Xian. Ning Cheng thanked him and then asked, are you sure that Crucible Transformation Senior would not have any problems entering this place? Xian Hai spoke in a dignified manner, this is where the problem lies. Not only did the Crucible Transformation Seniors come in without any problems, but even if we followed the Crucible Transformation Seniors, we would still be fine. There is also a strange place, the place where the immortal cave appeared, even the spiritual consciousness of a Crucible Transformation cultivator would not be able to reach it. Isn't this an array formation? Ning Cheng asked. Xian Hai nodded and spoke, I heard from those Crucible Transformation Seniors that this place is an array formation. It's just that even a Tier 9 array formation Grand Master can't see what kind of array formation this is, let alone us. Speaking till here, Xian Hai suddenly changed the topic, you are just a profound core cultivator and you dare to come here, it really is amazing. However, you still have to listen to me. Although the sex rewards are good, you still have to act within your capabilities. Ning Cheng already had some understanding of Xian Hai's temperament, he knew that Xian Hai's words were not meant to ridicule him, but rather out of goodwill. I will try to be careful, moreover senior apprentice brother Xian will also take care of me, I know what to do. Ning Cheng casually said. Sure enough, Xian Hai grinned, as he stretched out his chubby palm and patted Ning Cheng's shoulder and spoke, Junior apprentice brother Ning can rest assured, even if something happens, as long as we crush the jade talisman in time, we will be able to teleport out. Although I will take care of you, you have to be careful at all times. Severing emotions Dao Sex Junior apprentice sister Bu's cultivation is also very powerful, as such she will definitely take care of you 1 or 2 times. From the moment Ning Cheng saw the other party, the young female cultivator, who had not spoken until now, frowned but still did not speak. Junior apprentice brother Ning, you have to pay attention, behind this yellow line is the dangerous area. The disciples who came in to look for the immortal cave, all of them went missing in the back. Xian Hai pointed to a thick yellow line at his feet, as he reminded Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng stepped over the yellow line, and looked at the still desolate area. Because of the war, the place was full of potholes, and spoke with some doubts, there is nothing here. There are no forests or ravines, nor are there any dangerous peaks or rivers. How could it disappear here? Ning Cheng's words suddenly stopped, he found that Xian Hai and Bu Mei who were beside him had suddenly disappeared, there was no sign at all, there was no fluctuation at all. Ning Cheng's scalp tingled, as he felt his whole body become light, the next moment he suddenly appeared in a dark hall. Not to mention about crushing the jade talisman, he did not even have the opportunity to react. At this time, Ning Cheng once again crushed the jade talisman, but it did not have the slightest effect. There was not a single person around the hall, in addition to the cold and gloomy feeling, it was just a cold and gloomy feeling. Ning Cheng's attention immediately concentrated, he felt that this place was no longer under his control. This was definitely a transfer array, but the grade of this transfer array was too high, even a Tier 9 array formation Grand Master would not be able to see through it. It seems that Xian Hai and Bu Mei were not sent to the same place as him. Although Ning Cheng's attention and his spiritual consciousness were constantly observing the situation around him, but even after staying in the hall for a long time, he did not see any danger. The only thing that was different was that there was a very strange aura surrounding this hall. If Ning Cheng had not come into contact with the power of hope, then he certainly would not be able to know what kind of power this was. Ning Cheng had come into contact with the power of hope, so he could feel that it was similar to the power of hope, but it was definitely not the power of hope. At the same time, Ning Cheng also found that this hall did not have an exit, as such he carefully entered the depths of the hall. When he reached the deepest part of the hall, he saw a faint ray of light shooting out. This ray of light was extremely comfortable to touch with his spiritual consciousness. Obviously, this was the spiritual Qi ray. Ning Cheng's heart moved, as he immediately sped up his pace. At the same time, in a fairy tale-like snow-white ice house, there were more than 100 cultivators frozen inside. These cultivators ranged from the profound congealing realm to the soul essence realm. This snow-white ice house had a strange name. It was called the Karma House. All the cultivators inside the Karma House had a common characteristic, that is, all of them were frozen inside a crystal-clear icicle. Moreover, all the cultivators inside the Karma House had brought out their own magical weapons to protect their entire body, but at the same time they were not able to move, as they were resisting the terrible cold of the icicles. Suddenly, one of the cultivators inside the icicles trembled slightly, as the luster of his defensive magical weapon dimmed. Then a "kacha" sound emerged, as a faint shadow floated out of the cultivator's body, and fell into the huge cauldron at the top of the ice house. The next moment, the cultivator frozen inside the icicles began to melt at a speed visible to the naked eye, before slowly disappearing from sight. The rest of the cultivators inside the icicles were silent on seeing this scene. In addition to desperately using their magical weapons to block the cold of the icicles, they did not have any other way. This kind of scene happened constantly in this ice house every day. There were several disciples from the major academies, as well as many rogue cultivators who came here for a mission. After landing here, they would all be sent to this ice house, and at the same time be frozen. Then no matter how much you tried to resist the cold, as long as you could not resist it, your soul would float out of your body, and enter the huge cauldron at the top of the ice house. Once the soul disappeared, the corporeal body would decompose at a speed visible to the naked eye. After the corporeal body decomposed, all the magical weapons and other things would disappear. Moreover, being frozen in this ice house, had nothing to do with one's cultivation. The higher your cultivation, the more powerful the icicles that froze you would be. Being frozen in this ice house, only a cultivator with a good defensive magical weapon, coupled with a powerful spiritual consciousness and true essence, would be able to resist for a longer time. However, it would only be able to resist for a longer time. In the end, they would still turn into ice slag and disappear without a trace. Only in this place, could one see the difference between rogue cultivators and the disciples of the academies. Those who could use magical weapons to protect themselves from being frozen for a few months, most of them were the disciples of the academies. There were only a few rogue cultivators. However, as time went by, the icicles in this ice house were also getting fewer and fewer. At most there were more than 1,000 icicles, but now there were only a little more than 100. Another 3 Taoist shadows landed in 3 different corners. Everyone in the ice house knew that this ice house was about to add 3 more icicles. Although the people who came in could not see the ice house, but the people inside the ice house could clearly see the people who came in. They themselves had also come in the same way, and as long as they casually took any of the treasures, they would immediately be transmitted to the ice house, and then frozen by the icicles. This hall was just like the name of the ice house. It was very strange. If you did not take anything from here, then you would never be transmitted to the ice house. In fact, after entering this hall, there was not a single cultivator who could resist not taking anything. Moreover, after entering this hall, it seemed that they would only remember that this was an ancient immortal cave, and only knew that they had come here to look for some good things. As for how they came here, it would become vague in their consciousness, or perhaps it was not important, or even simply not willing to think about it. How come Ning Cheng is also here? Liang Kursen, who was frozen in the icicles, immediately recognized Ning Cheng, and immediately gave out a sigh. Ning Cheng was indeed powerful, but he would soon end up the same as her, frozen in this ice house, and then slowly waiting for death. For a profound congealing cultivator to persist in this ice house for 3 or 4 months without dying, there were definitely no more than 5, and she, Liang Kursen, was one of them. Only she knew that she was once a soul essence cultivator. Her trump cards were far more than that of an average profound congealing cultivator, but even so, she knew that she was only 1 or 2 days away from falling. Low-grade true artifact. When Xin Hai was transmitted down, he was somewhat surprised, but when he saw a low-grade true artifact, he did not hesitate to reach out and grab it. At this moment, he had completely forgotten how he came in. The frozen cultivators in the ice house shook their heads. This guy's resistance was simply too poor, just a low-grade true artifact was enough to make him unable to bear it. But thinking of themselves, this kind of shaking of their heads immediately turned into a deep sigh. Initially, because they saw a treasure that they liked, and then reached out to grab it, didn't they end up being transmitted to this karma house? The moment Xin Hai grabbed the low-grade true artifact, a kind of force that he simply could not resist swept over him. He immediately knew that it was not good. It was only at this moment that he remembered what was going on. But not waiting for him to react, the next moment he also appeared in the ice house, and was frozen in place by an icicle. Looking at the more than 100 icicles in the ice house, and each icicle had a cultivator trapped inside, Xin Hai at this moment completely came to understand. No wonder so many cultivators had disappeared. It turned out that these cultivators were the same as him, because they wanted to take the treasures here. They ended up being frozen in this ice house. His thoughts had just turned to this point, when a ray of light flashed inside the ice house, and another icicle appeared out of thin air inside the ice house. Looking at Bumei inside the icicle, Xin Hai shook his head. He knew that this junior apprentice brother Ning would soon come over. A burst of cold air assaulted him, as if it wanted to tear apart his corporeal body, and then suck away his soul. Xin Hai hurriedly brought out his own defensive magical weapon to protect his entire body. Only then did he feel a little better. Immediately he saw Ning Cheng, as Ning Cheng also walked into the luxurious hall that he had entered before. Chapter 275. Ning Cheng followed this ray of light and arrived at a new hall. This hall was well lit and was much better than the dark hall from before. Not only that, but the main hall was also very luxurious, and was paved with precious materials that Ning Cheng could not identify. The surrounding was incomparably rich in spiritual qi, causing Ning Cheng to speculate that this hall was the immortal cave that everyone was looking for. But it was so easy for him to find it, it made Ning Cheng somewhat unable to believe it. Ning Cheng's gaze swept out. He couldn't help but think that if this was the ancient immortal cave, then wouldn't there be a lot of treasures here? Immediately, a supreme-grade flying spiritual artifact appeared in his sight. Best quality flight-type spiritual artifacts, even if it was a soul-sculpting realm cultivator, it would still have a great attraction. In just a few steps, Ning Cheng arrived at the side of the best quality flight-type spiritual artifact. It could be said that any low-leveled cultivator would not be able to hold back their love for this flight-type spiritual artifact. Moreover, Ning Cheng also found that this best quality flight-type spiritual artifact did not even have half a restriction around it, which meant that he could casually take it away. Liang Kersen, who was inside the icicle, on seeing Ning Cheng rush towards the flight-type magical weapon, gave out a sigh. She knew that with Ning Cheng's virtue, he would definitely immediately reach out to grab it. Then, they came to this igloo together. Almost all the people in the ice house thought that Ning Cheng would reach out and grab it, but Ning Cheng did not immediately grab this flight-type magical weapon. This best quality flight-type spiritual artifact was very precious to all of the lower-leveled cultivators, but Ning Cheng was an exception. Ning Cheng had the twin heavenly cloud wings. Moreover, he had recently obtained a new pair of taintless silver wing feathers. Moreover, he also had the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, which was driven by the power of hope. Therefore, its speed was much faster than this best quality flight-type spirit artifact. It was precisely because Ning City had so many good things, that he did not immediately go and grab them. However, this did not mean that Ning Cheng did not like this best quality spiritual artifact. In fact, he was equally tempted by this best quality spiritual artifact. Just because he was useless didn't mean others were useless. What about Ji Luofei? At the same time, it was also because Ning Cheng did not immediately grab this flight-type magical weapon, that he was aware of a trace of something wrong. This was merely a top-grade flying spiritual artifact, but he could feel a trace of extraordinary spiritual energy coming from it. That's right, it was different. This kind of spiritual energy was completely different from the spiritual energy he usually absorbed. Not only was it different, but it was also several levels higher. This spiritual energy, which was several grades higher, gave him a familiar feeling. Ning Cheng's memory was incomparably powerful, and instantly remembered where he had encountered this kind of spiritual qi. It was in the forbidden land of the frigid river. Originally, the forbidden cold river was called the Thunder Fall Scorching River. Later, because an immortal mansion fell at the bottom of the river, it became the Cold River. Ning Cheng also knew that the reason why the Thunder Fall Scorching River had turned into a cold river was because of the Star River fire seed in his Zifu. When he followed the white-haired old woman to the bottom of the cold river, the white-haired old woman entered the immortal mansion, while he kept the Star River outside the immortal mansion. At the same time, he also absorbed the spiritual qi outside the immortal mansion to cultivate. That kind of spiritual energy was exactly the same as this one. It was very beneficial for cultivation. Could this be an immortal residence? This is the Zhuohe immortal abode. As soon as he thought of this, Ning Cheng immediately thought of the scene of the white-haired old woman being blasted out of the immortal mansion and suffering severe injuries. His cultivation was worlds apart from that white-haired old woman's. As such, he did not want to be blasted out of the immortal mansion because of a dispensable thing. It would be fine if he was blasted out, but it wouldn't be worth it if he died here. Whether it was the burning the immortal mansion or not, Ning Cheng felt that he should not be limited to one or two magical weapons. If he could refine the entire immortal mansion, then what about it? Once he refined this immortal abode, everything in this immortal abode would belong to him. He already had the everlasting Blue Thunder City in his Zifu, who could be sure that he would not be able to refine this immortal mansion? It's just a best quality spiritual artifact, it's not even worth mentioning. Ning Cheng muttered to himself, as he unexpectedly bypassed this flight-type magical weapon and continued to walk inside. He was thinking about where he could find the mansion steel to refine the immortal mansion. Once he found the steel, he would refine the immortal mansion. Not to mention a supreme-grade spiritual weapon, even a brick inside would be his. In the end, if he really couldn't find the mansion steel, he would come back and take away this supreme-grade spiritual weapon. What was going on? All the cultivators frozen in the ice pillars in the ice houses stared at Ning Cheng in doubt. A profound core first-level cultivator, why was he able to remain indifferent in the face of a best-quality flight-type magical weapon that was within his reach? Why did he just take a look at it and walk away? This kind of temperament, wasn't it just too high and mighty? Even Liang Kursen was looking at Ning Cheng with a puzzled expression, even if her face was pale, and her hands were trembling slightly, she could not understand why Ning Cheng did not take away that supreme-grade spiritual artifact. In her view, Ning Cheng was a person who was not willing to suffer a loss, so how could he ignore this kind of benefit? Ning Cheng had only taken a few steps, when he once again saw a magical weapon. This time it was not a supreme-grade spiritual artifact, but rather a low-grade true artifact, it was also a flight-type magical weapon. This was a very beautiful airship-type magical weapon. Among all the airship-type magical weapons that Ning Cheng had seen before, it was not as beautiful as this airship-type magical weapon. Ning Cheng subconsciously wanted to raise his hand to grab it, but the rich spiritual qi in the air caused Ning Cheng to quiver. He instantly understood that the place he was in might be an immortal mansion. Once he grabbed this low-grade true artifact, then he would have to think of the white-haired old woman's fate. Two coveting magical weapons appeared in front of Ning Cheng, causing Ning Cheng's heart to become even more fiery. He secretly made up his mind that he must find the steel of this immortal mansion. He vowed not to give up until he found it. As for why he was suddenly transferred to this place, Ning Cheng had completely forgotten about it. At this moment, he only had a single thought in his mind, that is, this is an immortal mansion, if I want to refine this immortal mansion, then I will not be able to just take one or two things. Barely suppressing his own fanaticism, Ning Qing casually spoke up, "Alas, it's just a trivial low-grade true artifact magical weapon, my family's backyard is filled with them, forget it, let's just take a look." After talking to him for a while, Ning Qing sped up his pace. He was thinking in his heart, that this immortal mansion would soon become his family's backyard. Another trivial low-grade true artifact. Could a low-grade true artifact even be considered trivial? Even for a crucible transformation cultivator, a low-grade true artifact flight-type magical weapon was extremely precious. At this time, the cultivators frozen in the ice house were completely speechless. What kind of freak was this? Was his temperament really so noble, that it was completely different from them? Could he really resist this kind of temptation? Even the few soul essence cultivators who were trapped in the icicles were staring at Ning Qing in a daze. They had never seen such a strange fellow before. While Ning Qing was looking for the steel to refine the immortal mansion, he also felt that he was attracted by the magical weapons in this place. There was a very important thing that he could not remember, or rather, he was not willing to think about it. An incomparably soft white light suddenly appeared in front of Ning Qing, causing Ning Qing to stare at a beautiful flying all-type magical weapon in front of him. Moreover, it was a flight-type magical weapon. However, this was definitely a middle-grade true artifact. On the left and right sides of the flying all-type magical weapon, there was also a pair of faint hidden wings. Moreover, the hidden wings had 2 grooves, which was the place to place the spirit stones. This flying all-type magical weapon gave Ning Qing a feeling, that once he sat on it, even a sea-opening realm cultivator would not necessarily be able to catch up with him. This thing was definitely better than his true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. It was something that he had always dreamed of. Although the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel's speed was much faster than this, but it required the power of hope to propel it. Moreover, the power of hope that he used would decrease. This thing must be taken. Ning Qing took a step forward and raised his hand to grab it. However, as his hand stretched out halfway, he suddenly remembered something. He said that it was just a trifling best quality flight-type spiritual artifact, but a low-grade true artifact appeared. He said that it was just a trifling low-grade true artifact, but a middle-grade flying all-type true artifact appeared. These things seemed to have increased in grade according to his dissatisfaction. In just a moment, Ning Qing once again reacted. This place was an immortal mansion. He was still looking for the steel a moment ago, and was ready to refine this immortal mansion. How could he forget about it in just a blink of an eye? Ning Qing slowly retracted his hand, and began to concentrate on circulating his true essence. After the true essence circulated through his meridians, his sea of consciousness immediately turned clear, and then his Zifu also became incomparably clear. He finally remembered something that he had not remembered before, that is, he did not come here on his own, but was forcibly transferred here. There was definitely something strange about this place. Ning Qing slowly sighed. Fortunately, he was experienced and knowledgeable, and had already seen the Zhua He immortal mansion. Moreover, he also had a lot of good things, as such he would not be attracted by such a small thing. At the same time, his Zifu had been reshaped by the mysterious yellow origin, which really was not ordinary, allowing him to sober up quickly. Seeing Ning Qing reach out and grab the middle-grade true artifact flying all the people trapped in the ice house finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this person was still normal. If he did not even want this middle-grade flying all-type true artifact, then it would really be too abnormal. But then all the people were shocked, as they saw Ning Qing unexpectedly retract his hand. What was going on? How could this person's willpower be so strong? Ning Qing was secretly afraid in his heart. Once his mind sobered up, he completely understood what was going on. His mind was now clear, and his sea of consciousness was also clear. It was clear that after he entered this place, he had become abnormal, or rather, he had become greedy. If there was no one controlling this place, then even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe it. If a middle-grade flying all-type true artifact had appeared from the beginning, then maybe he would have fallen into a trap. Fortunately, it was only a best quality spiritual artifact magical artifact that appeared at the beginning. Knowing that there might be someone controlling these things, Ning Cheng's heart suddenly jumped up. He swept out with his spiritual consciousness, but could not find even the slightest bit of strangeness. Ning Cheng suddenly took out a few high-grade spirit stones from his ring and threw them at the flying all-type magical artifact. Why does this thing look like a food trough for chickens? Rubbish, it's really rubbish. It's an eyesore, it's really an eyesore. Pa pa. A few spirit stones smashed onto the flying all, but Ning Cheng simply turned around and walked away. Although Ning Cheng could not see the ice house, but the cultivators inside the ice house were all staring at Ning Cheng with wide eyes. A middle-grade flight-type true artifact was actually a food trough for chickens. How could this person think of such a thing? Moreover, he even used spirit stones to smash it. At this time, the huge cauldron in the ice house suddenly trembled, as if there was an angry aura surrounding the huge cauldron. However, all the frozen cultivators in the ice house were paying attention to Ning Cheng, this living treasure, and completely ignored the huge cauldron. Chapter 276. Ning Cheng guessed that this place was similar to an immortal mansion, and that someone was specifically controlling it. He was anxiously thinking of countermeasures in his heart, but he did not know that there were so many pairs of eyes watching his actions. Spiritual enhancement true nectar. Ning Cheng had only taken a few steps, when he once again saw a huge jade barrel. This jade barrel did not have a lid, but from the liquid inside the jade barrel, he could clearly see that this was a barrel of spiritual enhancement true nectar. Even if the cultivators in the ice houses were frozen solid, seeing so much spiritual enhancement true nectar, they could not help but simultaneously reveal a covetous look. Hey, why is there such a big bucket of bath water? The people living in this house are really filthy. They even collect bathing water. What a pervert. Ning Cheng tried hard to remember how he came in, while at the same time muttered to himself in disdain. Ning Cheng even used his spiritual consciousness to repeatedly sweep through this spiritual enhancement true nectar, and finally determined that it was not an illusion, but the real spiritual enhancement true nectar. But in the depths of his heart, he had a feeling that this spiritual enhancement true nectar was not real. It was just that this kind of fake thing had reached the point where even he couldn't recognize it. If this was the real spiritual enhancement true nectar, then Ning Cheng would truly feel some disdain towards it. Saying that the spiritual enhancement true nectar was a kind of bath water was not wrong, at least he and Yen Ji had used this thing to take a bath. But what if he did not have this kind of spiritual enhancement true nectar? Would he forget how he came in again, and then grab the bucket of spiritual enhancement true nectar and throw it into his ring? After Ning Cheng said that this bucket of spiritual enhancement true nectar was bath water, he could feel that there was a kind of anger in it. This made Ning Cheng more and more sure that there was someone controlling this place. Moreover, this person would even become incomparably angry at him for disdaining the things inside. Fortunately, he had a lot of things, moreover his Zifu was also reshaped by the mysterious yellow origin, as such it would not be easy for him to once again fall into a state of greed. Ning Cheng did not know why so many good things kept appearing in this place, but he was sure that the reason why these good things kept appearing was because they wanted him to take them away. He was not going to take it away now. What could he do about it? Thinking till here, Ning Cheng casually took out a jade ladle, and scooped up a ladle of spiritual enhancement true nectar from his own pond. He first used the spiritual enhancement true nectar to wash his hands, and then smashed the spiritual enhancement true nectar on the ground and spoke, "This kind of thing, this father uses it every day to wash my feet and my buttocks. What kind of doghouse is this? Why is it filled with rubbish? There's nothing that can move my heart. I'm really disappointed, too disappointed." With his mouth full of disdain, Ning Cheng's hand was already gripping the talisman given to him by the skeleton. Once the situation went wrong, he would immediately crush the talisman. Ning Cheng believed that the talisman given to him by the skeleton was extraordinary, and would definitely allow him to return to the bottom of the blood river. If he couldn't even protect himself, how could he talk about saving people? In any case, he now had the best quality spirit stones. At worst, he would just have to come out again. If that skeleton could give him a talisman, then it could definitely give him a second one. When Ning Qing said that the spiritual enhancement true nectar was nothing more than trash bathing water, the cultivators who were staring at Ning Qing from the ice house were completely dumbfounded. This was the spiritual enhancement true nectar. Just a dozen drops would be enough for a cultivator to comprehend at once. But here was a large barrel, and Ning Qing had actually said that this barrel was bathing water. Some of the trapped cultivators were already speculating that Ning Qing knew that these things could not be taken away, as such he would only say such words. But how could Ning Qing, a profound core cultivator, know about it? Even if he knew about it, how could he control the emotions of wanting good things? The huge cauldron on top of the ice house could not help but roar, as the intermittent swaying immediately attracted the attention of the cultivators trapped inside the ice house. Although the people inside the icicles were aware that they were trapped, it was to make them automatically overflow their souls into the huge cauldron if they could not resist it. But now that the huge cauldron really started swaying, it really made all the people inside feel shocked. However, the people inside the ice house quickly used all of their strength to resist the cold of the icicles. They all knew that even if they panicked, it would not be of any use. The existence inside this ice house seemed to have a principle, that is, you must take the initiative to take away his things, only then would you be trapped inside this ice house. Moreover, after being trapped inside this ice house, as long as you can resist the cold, then you would not have any problems. The existence inside the huge cauldron would also not force you to overflow your soul into the huge cauldron. Now that Ning Qing was constantly scolding the things in here as garbage, if they did not take these things, then it would arouse the anger of the existence inside the huge cauldron, perhaps they would be able to escape. Thinking of this, almost all the people were looking forward to Ning Qing constantly scolding these things as garbage. The more he scolded them, the better it would be. Although they all knew that the things in here were not only not garbage, but they were also top-quality things. When Ning Qing really took out the spiritual enhancement true nectar, and even used the spiritual enhancement true nectar to wash his hands, while simultaneously smashing the jade ladle, all the cultivators present were completely shocked. It turned out that he was not pretending, it turned out that these things in his eyes were really garbage. Even some of the cultivators who thought that Ning Qing understood that the things in here could not be casually taken away, began to wonder, did this profound core cultivator really know that the things in here could not be taken away, or did he really think that the things in here were garbage? Only Liang Kersen knew, that Ning Qing really did have a lot of spiritual enhancement true nectar, as for how much, she was not very clear about it. At this moment, the huge cauldron that was constantly beating in anger also gradually calmed down. It seemed to be shocked that Ning Qing had really taken out the spiritual enhancement true nectar, moreover was really throwing it around like it was washing his feet. If Ning Qing did not do it intentionally, then what should he do? The existence inside the huge cauldron itself was a terrifying existence from ancient times. He cultivated karma, everything has a cause and effect. If Ning Qing really did not covet the cause of his immortal cave, then there was no way for him to obtain the result. As the huge cauldron gradually settled down, more and more good things continued to appear in front of Ning Qing. Medium-grade offensive true artifact. Garbage. High-grade defensive true artifact. Garbage. Rank 8 Earth-grade pill. Garbage. Killing intent pill that can transform into immortal. Garbage. Garbage. Hey, there is a huge pill cauldron here. Ning Qing called out garbage all the way, before finally stopping his footsteps and looking at a huge high-grade true artifact pill cauldron in front of him. The existence inside the huge cauldron, who was already on the verge of a violent rage, finally gave out a long sigh. This kid finally stopped. This father does not believe that there is nothing here that you can take a fancy to. He originally did not care about the soul of a profound core kid, but now he was even more eager to taste the taste of this profound core kid's soul. All the people in the ice house nervously looked at Ning Qing, not knowing if Ning Qing would take this pill cauldron or not. Ning Qing circled around the pill cauldron for a long time, before he gave out a sigh and spoke. I originally wanted to take it back and use it as a toilet, but how come it still has a few corners? Can you even sit on this thing as a toilet? This is not garbage, it's even worse than garbage. This is a battle garbage among the garbage, ba ba. Spitting out a few mouthfuls of spittle into the pill cauldron, it really affects my vision, it also affects my mood. Even if he did not know what was a battle garbage among the garbage, the existence inside the huge cauldron still trembled in anger, almost going against his own karma Tao, directly grabbing Ning Qing into the ice house, and then forcibly freezing him into an icicle. However, he still had his reason. With his current cultivation, even if he wanted to keep this immortal cave, it would still be somewhat difficult. Once he violated the karma Tao, then he would have to sink into oblivion for countless years. Ning Cheng's mind was clear, he was already clear about what was going on. He knew that he should have fallen into the control of someone else. These magical weapons and pills that were constantly appearing were the biggest explanation. The only way for him to survive was to call out the person who was secretly watching him, and then negotiate face to face. Ning Qing clenched the talisman in his hands, as he suddenly spoke to himself. I don't know if there are any mirage stones in this place, but with this kind of garbage piled up like a mountain in an immortal cave, I guess that it would be very difficult to find such a good thing. Ning Qing had not gone far, when he saw a jade table with two white things on it. It was precisely the mirage stones that Ning Qing had just spoken about. Ning Qing sneered in his heart. This person really thought that as long as he entered this place, he would completely forget about the cause and effect, and would completely lose himself in the things in this place, regardless of their origins. Unfortunately, he still remembered the cause and effect. He had just spoken about the mirage stones, and now a mirage stone had appeared. This thing was not fake, he did not believe it at all. Hey, there really is a mirage stone, ah, haha. Luck, it really is luck. Ning Qing was pleasantly surprised as he rubbed his hands together, as he looked at it again and again, while at the same time he gave a triumphant laugh. Little grasshopper, although this father's cultivation is not even a billionth of what it used to be, but do you think that I can't concoct a little thing like you? The existence inside the huge cauldron proudly looked at the excited Ning Qing. What he did not expect was that Ning Qing, who was still in high spirits a moment ago, suddenly flew into a rage. Looking at the quality of this mirage stone, it is at most a 7-colored mirage stone. I knew that this place was trash, but I did not think that it would be so trashy. This father even threw away a 9-colored mirage stone as if it was garbage, but this is just a 7-colored mirage stone, yet it is still placed on a jade table. Which beggar's immortal cave is this? Depressing, it is really depressing. I am going to leave, this place is too boring. Ba ba. After spitting out 2 mouthfuls of saliva, Ning Qing threw the 9-colored mirage stone in his hands. What this grandfather wants is a 10-colored mirage stone. You even dare to take out a 7-colored mirage stone to make a fool of yourself. This grandfather will give you a 9-colored mirage stone. Take it and play with it, you poor ghost. Ning Cheng's words immediately caused the cultivators trapped in the ice house to laugh, even if they knew that they would not be able to escape, but Ning Cheng's actions were still a slap to their faces. Bastard, mirage stones only have a maximum of 9 colors, where did you get a 10-colored mirage stone? The existence inside the huge cauldron finally could not bear the anger in its heart. Even if its body was just a faint shadow, it still rushed out of the huge cauldron and roared at Ning Qing. He really could not figure out from where did this best quality profound core cultivator come from. He even regretted it. Why did he bring this fellow in? Ning Qing gave out a sigh. He finally managed to stir it up. Then he saw an ice house slowly emerge. Above the ice house hung the 3 words Karma House. Inside the ice house, there were more than 100 icicles. Each of these icicles seemed to have a cultivator trapped inside. Liang Kursen. Sun Hanrui. Ning Qing immediately saw the 2 people trapped inside the icicles. Then Ning Qing also saw Xin Hai, who had just disappeared, along with Bu Mei, as well as several other soul essence cultivators from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. These cultivators all had a common characteristic, that is, all of them were trapped inside an icicle. Chapter 277. You'd better take care of yourself, little thing. The faint phantom above the cauldron spoke with disdain. Ning Cheng turned his gaze towards this phantom. He suddenly had a strange feeling. From this phantom, he could see a familiar aura. When he had first obtained the Thunder Domain City, those powerful cultivators in the Great War had a similar aura to this phantom. This was definitely a terrifying powerhouse. Perhaps he was hiding in this place to cultivate and recuperate, just like that Fong Jian. You have a good name, old man. Karma House, if there is a cause then there will be an effect. Today you trapped me, here is the cause, in the future you will receive your retribution. Ning Cheng looked at the Karma House, and suddenly spoke with a smile. When did I trap you? You came in on your own. The phantom suddenly retorted. Ning Cheng gave a smile. I was looking for some magical weapon fragments on that battlefield. You brought me here for no reason at all. If it was not because of you, then what was the reason? Ning Cheng felt that when he spoke about karma, this phantom seemed to be particularly nervous. As such he simply spoke again. Nonsense, you don't even care about high-grade true artifacts. Why would you care about some low-grade magical weapon fragments? Lying will only result in karma. The phantom retorted without hesitation. What do you know? Ning Cheng scolded the phantom in disdain, while simultaneously taking out his profound break spear. You take a look at the magical weapon I am using. It is a medium-grade spiritual artifact. That's right, the spear is also cracked a little. I only have the cultivation of profound core first level, yet you take out a magical weapon that I can't use and show it to me. If it is not garbage, then what is it? What kind of logic was this? The phantom was completely speechless, and only retorted after a good while, even if you can't use it, you can still use it in the future. Besides, how many spiritual artifacts can a true artifact be exchanged for? Ning Cheng spoke in a very contemptuous tone. Are you sure that I will be able to use it in the future? What if my cultivation stagnates? What if I can use it in the future better than this? The phantom felt that its body seemed to be dissipating, and quickly retracted back into the cauldron. He did not want to argue with Ning Cheng, and directly spoke. You have a friend here, you can ask me for a favor, let me let go of your friend. Ning Cheng held the talisman in his hands. As such he was not afraid of this phantom. He spoke with disdain. You want me to save my friend? Don't think too highly of yourself. I can shatter your icicles with a single spear strike. What can you do to me? If you could, you would have done it long ago, you old fart. Although he said that, but Ning Cheng was still very afraid in his heart. What did you call me? The phantom's angry voice resounded. You are just a lump of air. I guess that you have lived for countless years in vain. If you are not an old fart, then what are you? Ning Cheng smiled. Although he was afraid of this phantom, he did not believe that this phantom had the ability to make a move. If he had the ability to make a move, he probably wouldn't have been able to endure such mockery. At this time, Ning Cheng suddenly heard a "catcha" sound. Immediately, he saw an illusory figure emerge from one of the ice pillars. This illusory figure fell directly into the cauldron. After the illusory figure disappeared, the cultivator in the ice pillar disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Old fart, so you rely on devouring souls to strengthen yourself, do you still have any face? Ning Cheng cursed. He had thought that Liang Kursen was only frozen in the ice pillar, but now it seems that if he did not save her, then perhaps Liang Kursen would also be frozen into nothingness. The phantom spoke with disdain. Don't think that I would not dare to make a move on you. The people here owe me karma, as such they would use their souls to pay me back. This is karma. If you dare to offend me, then even if I have to bear the karma of an ant cultivator like you, I will still kill you. Oh, then your life is finished. Since you are a cultivator and pay attention to karma, do you know my origin? If you kill me, can you bear this huge karma? You have this kind of huge karma on your body, the sooner you die, the sooner it ends, then why would you still want to cultivate the Tao? Ning Qing spoke nonsense, but at the same time he came to understand. The cultivators who came here took the things of this phantom, it was equivalent to sowing the karma, but the karma was just too big, it would have to use their own souls to pay for it. What Ning Qing did not notice was that the words that he had just spoken caused the phantom to shake once again. Moreover, the shadow that had just solidified a bit, once again started to dissipate a bit. Whether I can cultivate or not, you will not be able to see it. Do you think that I have no way to leave the cauldron, so you can't do anything to me? Let me tell you the truth, this hall is filled with my power. The phantom gave a cold snort and spoke. Your power. It is by relying on this karma. As Ning Qing spoke until here, his heart suddenly moved, he remembered that when he had just come in, there seemed to be a kind of power similar to the power of hope. Was this the power of karma? If the power of hope could become a power, then who could be sure that karma could not become a power? I finally understand, old fogey, I'm afraid that you are relying on this power of karma, right? Would I be afraid of your power of karma? To tell you the truth, I can destroy it with just a lift of my hand. Ning Qing immediately spoke out, regardless of whether it was right or wrong, he had to first deceive this old fogey. Who the hell are you? The phantom once again trembled, he quickly fell into the cauldron, leaving only a part of him outside. From his trembling tone, one could tell that he was extremely afraid of Ning Qing. In this broken I Ching mainland, no one knew about the power of karma, yet this person actually knew about it. This person was definitely not a cultivator from the I Ching mainland. Was he the same as him, someone who was hiding from the great calamity of the past, and was hiding in this unknown corner of the world? Thinking that Ning Qing might be such a powerhouse, the phantom waved his hand, and the ice house that Ning Qing could see disappeared in an instant. As for the cultivators frozen in the ice house, they also could not see Ning Qing anymore. Ning Qing could feel the fear of this phantom, causing him to increasingly feel that this old fogey must have come from a very distant place. However, he was very worried about Liang Kursen and Sun Hanrui, as such he had to hurry up and rescue the two of them. There was also that Xin Hai, he was also a good person, and could also be saved. Thinking until here, Ning Qing suddenly shook the profound break spear in his hands and spoke, "Who is this young master? Let me show you this move, then you will know who this young master is." The profound break spear drew an indescribable arc, before suddenly thrusting out. A berserk spear intent, which caused the entire hall to suddenly lose its color, erupted out, a kind of fierce killing intent seemed as if it would blow up the entire hall in an instant. Not to mention the hall, even if it was a planet, in the face of this kind of berserk killing intent, it would also turn into nothingness. The phantom suddenly trembled, and in the blink of an eye, that slightly solid shadow turned even more faint. "You must be him, it must be him." The phantom's voice trembled just like his body. If he had teeth, then Ning Qing would definitely be able to hear the sound of the phantom's teeth clattering against each other. Less nonsense with this young master cannot remember a lot of things. If I could remember, then I would have already pulled out your thin skin. Ning Qing was also secretly shocked in his heart, who was the powerhouse that had unleashed this spear. He had only managed to obtain 1/1000th of this spear, yet this old man was already scared witless. Seeing that the phantom was still in a state of panic, Ning Qing suddenly gave a cold snort and spoke, "Hurry up and bring out the ice house, let me save people. Otherwise, heh." This time the phantom did not even speak any nonsense, as the ice house once again appeared. Ning Qing immediately saw the incomparably nervous Liang Kursen inside the icicle, but Liang Kursen was currently shivering from the cold, as if her soul would leave her body at any moment. Ning Qing walked into the ice house, and shot his spear at the icicle that froze Liang Kursen. Catcha, a sound emerged, as the icicle that Liang Kursen was in instantly shattered into pieces. Liang Kursen also collapsed to the ground, as she spat out a mouthful of black blood. Ning Qing took out a pill and handed it to Liang Kursen and spoke, Junior Apprentice Sister Kursen, you heal yourself first, I will save Junior Apprentice Sister Hanrui. Saying that, Ning Cheng once again shot his spear at the icicle that froze Sun Hanrui. Sun Hanrui's strength was much stronger than Liang Kursen, as such after coming out, she still cupped her fists towards Ning Cheng and thanked him, many thanks Senior Apprentice Brother Ning for the life-saving grace. Seeing many longing eyes, Ning Cheng directly walked towards the icicle that was Xin high, and also shot out a spear, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, I want to save the rest of the Senior Apprentice Brothers and Senior Apprentice Sisters. Sun Hanrui saw the longing in the eyes of the rest of the people from the icicle, and asked in a low voice. Ning Cheng saw the longing in the eyes of the many people, and suddenly spoke up, Old fart, open up all these icicles, all of them are my friends. After saying those words, Ning Cheng immediately remembered the things that he had encountered in the law's way. At that time, he had also saved a lot of people, but in the end, most of them ended up biting the hand that fed them. Hey, wait! Ning Cheng suddenly saw Fu Xingnan and Wen Han, even if he wanted to save someone, he could not save these two people. Catcha! Catcha! Sounds of ice breaking emerged. Ning Cheng's words were obviously a bit too late, as all the ice cubes had already been broken. Many of the cultivators were given a new life, and there were even a few cultivators who were so excited that they started crying. If there is nothing else, then I will be leaving. The flickering shadow cowered in front of the huge cauldron, revealing a vague head. Ning Cheng was secretly annoyed that this flickering shadow had broken the ice cubes too quickly. Even Fu Xingnan and Wen Han, this kind of trash, were also saved, as such he immediately spoke up in a bad mood, leave. Why do you want to leave? I have gone through untold hardships to come here, and other than saving people, I have not obtained even the slightest bit of benefit, so why are you leaving? Best quality true artifacts and high-grade true artifacts are just a few hundred of them, and, those pills from before are also quite good, you can also give me some of them. The flickering shadow's voice almost sounded like it was about to cry, as it hurriedly spoke up, those are just illusions of the power of karma, although they are the same as the real thing, but they are not real. Besides, you don't even like these things. Ning Cheng just gave a snort, as he casually picked up his own 9-colored mirage stone, and spoke, if I don't like it, then why can't I just give it to someone else? You brought me here, it is equivalent to sowing the karma, but now you do not have the karma to give to me, as such you can do as you see fit. Speaking till here, Ning Cheng suddenly thought of something, as he hurriedly sent out a sound transmission, you can leave now, wait for me to get some good things, then bury those things in, and, just bury them deep underground, I will come back to get them in the future. As long as you can get some good things and bury them here, then I will consider it as you settling the karma between us. Ning Cheng thought that if this flickering shadow gave him some good things, and the cultivators in this place came to know about it, then wouldn't it be terrible? Although he did not believe that this old fart did not have any good things, but he also did not dare to excessively force this flickering shadow. In case he provoked the opposite party to the point of recklessness, then it would not be good for him. Chapter 278. Ning Cheng's sound transmission had just fallen, when all the cultivators in the main hall felt a burst of emptiness, and then everyone fell down like dumplings. The ice house was gone, the huge cauldron and the magnificent main hall were also gone. The surroundings were still desolate, there were potholes everywhere, and there were broken pieces of magical weapons everywhere. But everyone was clear that they had finally come out of that terrible ice house. Some of the cultivators were so excited that they knelt on the ground, many of them were very clear that if they had stayed for a few more days, then they would not have been able to come out. Many of the cultivators came forward to thank Ning Cheng, some of them even wanted to take out spirit stones and pills to give to Ning Cheng. However, thinking of Ning Cheng washing his hands with the spiritual enhancement True Nectar, as well as the 9-colored mirage stone, they forcibly resisted the idea. Sun Hanrui suddenly sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, everyone saw you washing your hands with the spiritual enhancement True Nectar, you have to pay attention to it. Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, he obviously did not see anyone else. The spiritual enhancement true nectar was of no importance to that old fogey, but it was not an insignificant matter to other cultivators. Thinking of this, Ning Qing felt that he had let that old fogey off too easily. That old fogey actually broadcasted him, that son of a bitch. Elder Brother Ning, many thanks for your life-saving grace. I am a disciple of the Heavenly Tao Academy, Li Ling Fan. In the future when Elder Brother Ning comes to my Heavenly Tao Academy, this Li Ling Fan will definitely welcome you. A young man at the great circle of the soul essence realm came in front of Ning Cheng and cupped his fists in thanks, showing a very grateful expression. Previously, when they were still in the ice house, Sun Hanrui had whispered to Ning Cheng, he should have heard it, and thus called him Elder Brother Ning. Liang Kersen knew that Ning Cheng did not know much about these academies, and quickly sent a sound transmission to Ning Cheng. The Heavenly Tao Academy is one of the top 10 academies in the Tian continent, and is even ranked above the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Ning Cheng quickly cupped his fists and politely spoke, I was lucky to save Senior Apprentice Brotherly, maybe one day I will really go to the Heavenly Tao Academy to disturb you. I, Kong Cheng, did not expect to be saved by a profound core cultivator. Many thanks, Elder Brother Ning, although your cultivation is lower than mine, but you still saved my life, Kong Cheng's life. From now on, you will be my friend. A rough-looking man walked over in a few steps and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng to thank him. Xin Hai quickly stepped forward and spoke, Elder Brother Ning, Senior Apprentice Brother Kong Cheng is a true inheriting disciple of my star-gathering mansion. This time you not only saved Senior Apprentice Brother Kong Cheng but also saved me. I really have to thank you. I even said that I would help you. I really overestimated myself. After Ning Cheng and Kong Cheng exchanged a few polite words, he patted Xin Hai's shoulder and spoke, Elder Brother Xin, you don't have to be so polite. Before you really wanted to help me, I know it in my heart. It was just a coincidence that I saved you. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, the Floating Snow Palace's Zhong Nianyan thanks you for saving my life. In the future, if Brother Ning has the time to visit the Floating Snow Palace, Nianyan will definitely treat you as a distinguished guest. Another grateful voice sounded. This time, it was a shy and beautiful young female cultivator with a cultivation of Essence Soul Realm 6th level. Liang Kersen's voice arrived just in time, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, the Floating Snow Palace is also one of the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. Ning Cheng quickly returned the courtesy, he felt that saving these people was not without any benefits. Regardless of whether the gratitude was sincere or not, at least he could make more friends. For a time, more and more cultivators came to thank Ning Cheng. At this time, 7 or 8 shadows quickly landed on the periphery of the crowd. Why did you all suddenly appear? What the hell happened here? The one who spoke was an old man with a red face. Ning Cheng took a look at this old man and immediately knew that he was a crucible transformation cultivator. At the same time, Ning Cheng also saw the 5 cultivators that he had met before. They had the same puzzled look on their faces, but at the same time, they were also a bit surprised. Although because of the sudden appearance of this ancient immortal cave, more than 1,000 cultivators from various places had perished, but more than half of the elites from the major academies who had come here to complete the mission were still alive. Li Ling Fan, who was the first to come forward to thank Ning Cheng, was the first to stand up, as he bowed and spoke, replying to Elder Yong, that ancient immortal cave is a magical weapon belonging to a life essence. That life essence placed this magical weapon here, in order to capture the souls of cultivators below the soul essence realm and devour them. In order to restore his cultivation. Fortunately, this time Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's junior apprentice Brother Ning saved all of us, and scared away that life essence. Li Ling Fan addressed Ning Cheng as Elder Brother Ning, while addressing him as junior apprentice Brother Ning in front of this old man was not contradictory. He addressed Ning Cheng as Brother Ning to thank Ning Cheng for his life-saving grace. It was an honorific title. The reason why he addressed Ning Cheng as junior apprentice brother Ning was because Ning Cheng's cultivation was lower than his, and he and Ning Cheng were not from the same academy. The several old men on hearing Li Lingfan's words, originally had a lot of questions to ask, but when they heard the last sentence, all of them immediately focused their gazes on Ning Cheng. Did you save all the cultivators here? The several crucible transformation elders stared at Ning Cheng and asked in unison. Ning Cheng knew that he had to find a reason for this matter. Now that several crucible transformation elders were asking him at the same time, he did not dare to show even half a shred of neglect, as he quickly stepped forward and bowed before speaking. Yes, it is because this immortal cave was left behind by an ancient life essence. This life essence is nourishing itself inside a huge cauldron. As senior apprentice Brother Li said a moment ago, this life essence is still far from recovering, as such it can only devour the souls of us cultivators with lower cultivations to nourish itself. Even if that is the case, this life essence can easily devour the souls of all of you, so how were you able to save everyone? This time it was the beautiful woman from the star-gathering mansion who stared at Ning Cheng and asked a question. Ning Cheng quickly spoke about the things inside the immortal cave, including the ice house, as well as the virtual magical weapons and pills, as well as the karma house and so on. So to say, that life essence was forced by karma, as such it wanted the cultivators who went in to take the magical weapons first, before starting. Another crucible transformation cultivator asked. This crucible transformation cultivator's complexion was a bit pale, as if he was a sick man, as such the tone of his question made Ning Cheng feel uncomfortable. I guess that is the case, but I am not very clear about the specifics. Ning Cheng replied cautiously. This sickly-looking crucible transformation cultivator still stared at Ning Cheng and asked, the other cultivators fell into its trap, why did you not fall into its trap? Why did you force the life essence to retreat? Because I have a 9-colored mirage stone, as such I did not fall into its trap. As for why the life essence retreated, I guess that it was not able to obtain karma from me. Ning Cheng was very dissatisfied with the tone of the other party's question. Although he answered the other party's question, but he still felt uncomfortable in his heart. He was the one who saved those people, how could he treat his benefactor with such an attitude? This sickly-looking man sneered, does a 9-colored mirage stone also have such an effect? How come I did not know about it? This time Ning Cheng simply did not bother to answer, who did this guy think he was, to act as if he was some kind of criminal, making him look like a criminal. Tell me in detail about the process of using the mirage stone, are there any other secrets that you have not spoken out? This sickly-looking crucible transformation cultivator was obviously not satisfied with Ning Cheng's answer, causing his tone to turn even more severe. Ning Cheng's temper flared up, as he immediately sneered, who are you? Why are you trying to control my head? I am from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, the cultivators here were all saved by me, I do not expect some white-eyed wolf to thank me. What method I used to not be disturbed, it is none of your business, if I don't want to say it, then what can you do about it? He did not know which academy this sickly-looking man belonged to, but he was sure that among the people he saved, there was at least one disciple from this academy. Not only did this person not thank him, but even relying on his high cultivation, he even used an interrogative tone to question him. Want to ask him about his secrets? Don't even dream about it. Little bastard, you are courting death. The sickly-looking man's entire body was overflowing with murderous intent, as he raised his hand towards Ning Cheng to grab him. At this moment, Ning Cheng immediately felt that the surroundings had been sealed up, he could not even move a single muscle. Ning Cheng was secretly shocked in his heart, what a powerful cultivation. Bang! At the same time, another hand stretched out, blocking the sickly-looking man's hand that was about to grab Ning Cheng. The surging true essence immediately blasted a huge crater in the distance. Since when did my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's disciples need to be taught a lesson by the Red Star Sword faction? Could it be that your Red Star Sword faction has already unified the entire Tian continent? A disdainful voice arrived. Ning Cheng knew that his guess was not wrong, it was the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect's Elder Bei. Such a disrespectful profound core little bastard, is it not enough for me to teach him a lesson? Bei Yofa, aren't you a bit too protective? The sickly-looking man still felt indignant. Ning Qing sneered, old bastard, you better stop pretending in front of this young master, don't take yourself seriously. I do not know what kind of academy the Red Star Sword faction is, but for such an ungrateful trash like you, I can also imagine it. Not to mention that I, your grandfather, do not have any secrets. Even if I did have secrets, what does it have to do with an old bastard like you? Why don't you tell me about your secrets? Idiot, you have lived your entire life like a dog. Although the sickly-looking man's cultivation and strength were many times stronger than Ning Cheng's, but when it came to scolding and debating, even if he was multiplied by 1,000, he still would not be Ning Cheng's opponent. Being scolded by Ning Cheng in such a manner, he suddenly trembled with anger, while his face turned even paler. However, he also knew that with Bei Yofa here, he would not be able to do anything to Ning Cheng. Bei Yofa was secretly happy in his heart, but on the surface, he calmly spoke to Ning Cheng, although there are some people who deserve to be scolded, but your cultivation is still too low, as such you have to pay attention to etiquette. In the future, if you have the opportunity, you must go to the Red Star Sword faction and explain everything clearly. Yes, I understand. How could Ning Cheng not know when to stop? The reason why he scolded people was not only to vent his anger, but also to block the mouths of the other crucible transformation cultivators, so that these crucible transformation cultivators would not be able to interrogate him one by one. Once he returned to the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect, with this reward, he would be able to go to the small spiritual domain to cultivate. As for what happened outside, it was none of his business. Fellow Taoists, please be the judge. A puny profound core ant unexpectedly has no manners. This sickly-looking man from the Red Star Sword faction was obviously unable to calm down his anger. Well, let's not talk too much. Besides, the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect's Ning Cheng has put in a lot of effort this time, saving so many of our academy's elite disciples. We should not treat him like a criminal and interrogate him. A slightly thinner cultivator came forward and spoke. The rest of the crucible transformation cultivators also spoke a few words in support of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had saved so many of their elite disciples, so which of the elders here would not be happy about it? These elders really were the same as what Ning Cheng had guessed. No one continued to ask Ning Cheng why he was able to resist the temptation, and one after another invited Ning Cheng to their academy as a guest. Whether it was an invitation with good intentions, or an invitation with bad intentions, Ning Cheng declined them one by one. His strength was already quite poor, but now that he had the contribution points, it was time for him to cultivate. How could he go to other academies and waste his time, and even find himself in danger? Chapter 279. Although the major sects did not obtain any benefits, the matter of the ancient immortal cave was finally resolved. Moreover, the elite disciples of the sects did not die. At the same time, he also learned that there was indeed such an ancient cave dwelling. However, this ancient cave dwelling had an owner. Not everyone could casually take it away. Ning Cheng and the other disciples of the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect followed the crucible transformation elder Bei Yofa back to the academy. This time the number of Soul Essence disciples from the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect that had fallen were not many. However, the disciples below the Soul Essence realm were only Liang Kursen and Feng Zhen. Junior apprentice brother Ning, we did not have the opportunity to thank you before, so this time we specifically came here to thank you. If it wasn't for you, none of us true disciples and core disciples would have been able to return. While Ning Cheng and Liang Kursen were chatting, Ke Hongshui and Luo Zian, along with a group of disciples, specifically came to thank Ning Cheng. We're all from the same sect, it's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up in a polite manner. He still needed to cultivate in the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect for a long time, as such he would certainly not mind making a few more friends. Luo Zian gave a sweet smile and spoke, it might be a trivial matter for you, but it is not a trivial matter for us. In any case, in the future, if you need any help from me in the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect, you can always come to the Flying Swallow Sword Peak to find me." Saying that, Luo Xian once again took out a jade card and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, "I heard from junior apprentice sister Hanrui that you want to go to the small spiritual domain to cultivate the most. I also have a cultivation jade card for a month, I will give it to you." Ning Cheng had only spoken a perfunctory and polite sentence, but now that Luo Xian took out the cultivation jade card for the small spiritual domain, he immediately became pleasantly surprised as he quickly took the jade card and spoke, "Many thanks senior apprentice sister Xian, I really do lack this kind of jade card. It won't do if my cultivation is too low." He didn't think that he shouldn't take this jade pendant. It wasn't too much to ask for a jade pendant for saving his life. When Ke Hongshui saw this, he also quickly took out a small spiritual domain's cultivation jade card and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, "I see that you have a lot of good things, and do not know what to give to thank you. I didn't expect you to like jade pendants. I also have one for a month." "Me too." In just a short period of time, Ning Cheng unexpectedly managed to collect 4 cultivation jade cards for the small spiritual domain. Although they were all for a month's time, but adding up to a total of 4 months' time. Ning Cheng was overjoyed in his heart, he had not even gone to receive the rewards from the academy, and had already obtained 4 jade cards. Once he went to receive the rewards, it would absolutely be a bumper harvest. Because he had the jade card to communicate with them, Ning Cheng had a very good impression of these senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters whom he had saved. At least these people were not like the people he had met in the law's way. Now that they had a common language, the more they chatted, the happier they became. At the same time, Ning Cheng also chatted with these people from the same sect, and learned more information about the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect. Cultivating in the small spiritual domain did not mean that the deeper one went the better it would be, but rather one had to find a suitable place for oneself. These places were similar to the blue stone that Ning Cheng had chosen before. There were a variety of stones in the small spiritual domain. Once one found a stone that was the most suitable for them to absorb the spiritual qi, then it would truly be a great harvest for them. However, the cultivation jade cards in the small spiritual domain were very precious, as such only a few people would spend a lot of time looking for this kind of stone. This was because even if one were to sit down and cultivate in a random place, it would be countless times faster than outside. What was even more important was that cultivating in the small spiritual domain was not an endless process. The spiritual qi in the small spiritual domain was too heavy on the yang qi. Once one cultivated to a certain extent, one would have to stop cultivating, otherwise the yang qi would incinerate one's body and cause one to perish. Hearing this news, Ning Cheng immediately asked in amazement, "But I went in to cultivate for 3 months, how come nothing happened to me?" Ke Hongshui smiled and spoke, "You have to cultivate to a certain extent, you are just a profound core cultivator, you would not be able to feel it. Even we would not be able to feel it, only after reaching the soul sculpting realm would we be able to clearly feel it." Ning Cheng finally understood, no wonder he did not see any powerful characters cultivating in the small spiritual domain, it turned out that there was such a side effect. "Is there any solution?" Ning Cheng quickly asked. The reason why he joined the Rainbow Falls Sword Sect was for the small spiritual domain. Now that he could not cultivate in the small spiritual domain, wouldn't it be akin to losing his life? It is not that there is no solution, you can find a Tao companion for dual cultivation, to harmonize the yin and yang of each other. You can also find some extremely yin-type spiritual medicines. But these are not the best solutions, and the effects are also limited. Ke Hongshui explained in a very detailed manner. Luo Xian suddenly interjected, "The best way is to go to the floating snow palace's refining snow and ice domain. If you can cultivate in the small spiritual domain for a period of time, and then go to the refining snow and ice domain to cultivate for a period of time, not only would there not be any problems, but it would also allow your cultivation to progress even more." Unfortunately, the refining snow and ice domain is the domain of the floating snow palace, as such outsiders are not able to enter. At this time, inside the airship's main cabin, Bei Youfa was leisurely sipping tea, when a voice suddenly arrived from outside the restriction. Disciple 1 Han requests an audience with Elder Bei. Come in. Bei Youfa waved his hand and removed the restriction on the door. What do you want? Bei Youfa looked at Wen Han coming in, and asked in a puzzled manner. Wen Han quickly gave a respectful bow, and then cautiously spoke, Elder Bei, Ningqing definitely has a big secret on him. He can even use the spiritual enhancement True Nectar to wash his hands. Moreover, the 9-colored mirage stones are just like garbage in his eyes. The most important thing is that he was not even the slightest bit affected by the ancient immortal cave, and was not even affected by the countless magical weapons. What do you want to say? Elder Bei put down the cup in his hands, as he looked at Wen Han and lightly asked. Wen Han clenched his teeth and spoke, I think that junior apprentice brother Ning has made a great contribution this time, and should be rewarded by the academy. However, junior apprentice brother Ning should also report his own secrets to the academy in detail, so as to repay the academy's kindness in nurturing him. Elder Bei stared at Wen Han sarcastically and spoke, I heard that Ningqing had only joined the academy for a total of 3 months, where did this kindness in nurturing him come from? Besides, my Rainbow Fall Sword sect advocates that the disciples have their own secrets. Not to say about Ningqing, even my Rainbow Fall Sword sect's true inheriting disciples, core disciples and even the elders, how many of them do not have their own secrets? Wen Han, if I asked you to hand over your secrets to the academy, what would you do? Do not learn from that Red Star Sword faction's Tang Gongshi. As a person, you must learn to be grateful, only then can you climb to a higher peak. You have good qualifications, do not ruin yourself. Well, you can go now. Wen Han's face alternated between blue and red, as he respectfully spoke, yes, this junior understands. Saying that, he carefully retreated. Elder Bei shook his head, and gave out a sigh. He could see that Wen Han was not very fond of Ningqing. It was obvious that Wen Han would definitely not give up. In the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, with the disputes between the disciples, he could only take a roundabout approach, and could not directly intervene. If one had to say who was in the limelight in the Rainbow Fall Sword sect recently, then it would definitely be Ningqing without a doubt. Ningqing, as a cultivator who had just entered the sect a few months ago, dared to take on the incomparably dangerous 17th Academy mission. Not only that, this cultivator who had just entered the inner sect also successfully completed the mission, saving more than a dozen academies and more than 100 elite disciples. For a time, his grace spread across half of the Tian continent, causing his reputation to soar. At this moment, every corner of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was filled with legends about Ningqing. Did you know, senior apprentice brother Ningqing broke into the ancient immortal mansion by himself, and saved more than 100 elite disciples from the major academies. Elder Bei personally brought senior apprentice brother Ning to receive the academy's reward. Even Deputy Academy head Tantai came out to meet Ningqing. Of course I know about this matter, moreover the major academies are very grateful to senior apprentice brother Ningqing. I heard that he is about to become a true inheriting disciple. Senior apprentice brother Ning is originally a soul essence cultivator, it's just that he suppressed his cultivation, as such becoming a true inheriting disciple is also a matter of course. No, I heard that senior apprentice brother Ningqing is a rogue cultivator in the soul sculpting realm. In that ancient immortal mansion, he suddenly unlocked the seal on his cultivation, and even killed the evil cultivators who were locking the disciples. What, cultivators above the soul essence realm simply cannot enter that ancient immortal mansion. Don't talk nonsense, that Ningqing is just a profound core first-level cultivator, it was only because he was able to resist the temptation of the immortal mansion. I want to tell you some real news, the Severing Emotions Dao sect and the Floating Snow Palace have both come to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect to discuss marriage. They want to marry off their outstanding true inheriting disciples to Ningqing. I heard that. You are talking nonsense. According to what you said, Ningqing is only at the profound core first level. while the outstanding true inheriting disciples of the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace are at least at the late stages of the soul essence realm, would they take the initiative to come to propose marriage? Hehe, do you know how rich Ning Qing is? He has the thing that the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace need the most. Forget it, even if I told you, you would not understand. This cultivator just gave a smile, turned around and no longer participated in the discussion, and soon left the place. Ning Qing, who was being enthusiastically discussed by the people, at this time once again arrived at the small spiritual domain. Elder Bei was very good to Ning Qing. Not only did he personally bring Ning Qing to receive the Academy's reward, when he knew that Ning Qing needed the cultivation jade card for the small spiritual domain, he even took the initiative to give Ning Qing 3 months' worth of cultivation jade cards. Ning Qing returned the favor, and also sent 3 bottles of spiritual enhancement true nectar to Elder Bei. Although the spiritual enhancement true nectar had been exposed, Ning Qing still felt that he could not send too much at once. At this time, even if Ning Qing did not use the 1,000,000 contribution points, he would still have 19 months of cultivation time in the small spiritual domain. Although the Rainbow Falls Sword sect did not obtain any benefits from the Great Liang True Country's Academy assignment, but the Rainbow Falls Sword sect still showed its imposing manner without a doubt. Not only did they reward Ning Qing, but all the cultivators who went were also rewarded with a month's worth of cultivation time in the small spiritual domain. Liang Kersen also received a month's worth of cultivation time. Even if Liang Kersen repeatedly said that a month's worth of time was more than enough, Ning Qing still returned the jade card that he owed Liang Kersen to her. With 18 months of cultivation time, Ning Qing was not in a hurry to cultivate inside the small spiritual domain. He wanted to look for a place with the most abundant spiritual qi. After wasting 4 days of time, Ning Qing finally chose a piece of white stone. After choosing a place to cultivate, Ning Qing once again leisurely arranged a variety of array formations. He decided to cultivate in this place until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm before going out. If not for the fact that he could not cross the tribulation inside the small spiritual domain, he had intended to use up the entire 18 months of time. Chapter 280. In the Rainbow Falls Sword sect's welcoming hall, an old man was accompanying a beautiful woman in conversation. In addition to this old man, there was also a middle-aged Confucian scholar accompanying them. Junior apprentice Brother Bei, you and Ning Qing are a bit more familiar. Why don't you explain it to Palace Master Sang? The old man sitting on the main seat looked at the middle-aged Confucian scholar and spoke with a smile. This old man was one of the 3 deputy sect masters of the Rainbow Falls Sword sect, Tan Tai Fei. But the Palace Master Sang he spoke about was actually the Floating Snow Palace's 7th Palace Master Sang Jieju. The middle-aged Confucian scholar was obviously the Rainbow Falls Sword sect's Elder Bei Youfa, who was very optimistic about Ning Qing. Elder Bei hesitated for a moment before asking, Palace Master Sang, although Ning Qing was lucky enough to do something this time, but his cultivation is just too low, only at profound core first level. Floating Snow Palace's core disciples are already at the soul essence realm. As for the true inheriting disciples, their cultivation is even higher. Moreover, the female disciples of the Floating Snow Palace are all fairies from the mortal world. How could they even take a fancy to a puny inner sect disciple of my Rainbow Falls Sword sect? Moreover, why would Palace Master Sang personally come to my Rainbow Falls Sword sect? Sang Jieju gave a faint smile and spoke, Ning Qing has great potential, although he only has the cultivation of profound core first level. I believe that with his ability, he would soon be groomed by the Academy. The Rainbow Falls Sword sect's small spiritual domain is famous throughout the world. For Ning Qing to advance to the soul essence realm, it would not take much time. The Rainbow Falls Sword sect's deputy sect master Tan Tai Fei on hearing this gave a wry smile and spoke, in the Rainbow Falls Sword sect, to use the small spiritual domain, even if one's background is great, one would still need to make contributions to the Academy. Besides, the small spiritual domain is not omnipotent. Sang Jieju did not care about it, and still spoke with a smile, after the Floating Snow Palace's true inheriting disciple Zhong Nianyun went back and spoke about Ning Cheng's matter, many of the Floating Snow Palace's female disciples were very appreciative of him. With Ning Cheng's bright future, perhaps he would soon become a true inheriting disciple. My Floating Snow Palace naturally would not mistreat him. Yin Kongchan is one of the most outstanding disciples of my Floating Snow Palace. I believe that with her appearance and qualifications, she would barely be able to match Ning Cheng. Yin Kongchan. Palace Master sang, are you talking about Yin Kongchan who obtained the 9th place in the great meet of the 10 major academies' Soul Essence disciples a few years ago? Bei Youfa asked in disbelief. Yin Kongchan already had the cultivation of the great circle of the Soul Essence realm a few years ago, as such she might even be a cultivator in the soul sculpting realm by now. Moreover, Yin Kongchan's appearance was definitely not inferior to the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Luo Xian, this kind of outstanding disciple with a limitless future. How could she just barely be worthy of Ning Cheng? Ning Cheng was simply not worthy of such a person, but why would the Floating Snow Palace give such an outstanding disciple to Ning Cheng? And through a marriage between the two sects. That's right. A few years ago, in the great meet of the Soul Essence disciples of the 10 major academies, Kongchan indeed won the 9th place. Sang Jieju spoke in a casual manner. Bei Youfa and the Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's deputy sect master glanced at each other. Before he turned to Sang Jieju and spoke, Palace Master sang, Ning Cheng immediately went into seclusion in the small spiritual domain to cultivate after coming back, as such we are unable to make a decision on our own. We will need him to come out of seclusion before we can answer you. Of course, since it is related to martial nephew Ning Cheng's matter, then of course he would need to personally agree to it. Sang Jieju replied in a very considerate manner. After saying that, she was just about to ask Ning Cheng when he would come out of seclusion, when Tan Tai Fei suddenly spoke up, what kind of good day is it today, for the elders of the Severing Emotions Dao sect to also come to my Rainbow Fall Sword sect? Tan Tai Fei stood up and spoke to Sang Jieju in an apologetic manner. Palace Master sang, I'll go pick up the elders. Sang Jieju did not care about it at all, and spoke with a smile, maybe I know the reason for Senior Apprentice Sister Cheonghua's visit. Sect Master Tantai can directly go and greet her. I have not seen Senior Apprentice Sister Cheonghua for a long time. Why don't we invite Senior Apprentice Sister Cheonghua here to reminisce about the old days? Tantai Fei had no choice but to nod in agreement. He knew that although Sang Jieju's words were pleasant to hear, the fact was that the Floating Snow Palace and the Severing Emotions Dao sect had a very big enmity between them. In just a short time, Tantai Fei came in with a woman wearing a white robe. This woman had a cold face, wore a simple bun for female cultivators, and carried a long sword on her back. After this woman came in, she saw that Sang Jieju was also present, causing her to be slightly surprised for a moment. However, she immediately recovered and cupped her fists towards Bei Youfa and spoke, Severing Emotions Dao Sect's Grandmaster Cheonghua greets Senior Apprentice Brother Bei. He, Senior Apprentice Sister Cheonghua is getting more and more beautiful, even I feel my heart beating endlessly. Although Shi Cheonghua did not take the initiative to greet Sang Jieju, but Sang Jieju took the initiative to greet Shi Cheonghua. What she said was not wrong, although Shi Cheonghua had a cold expression, but she was absolutely beautiful, her appearance was delicate and refined, just like her name, it was comparable to jade. Just by standing there, it was as if she was wrapped in a light cloud, making people who saw her feel ashamed of their inferiority. I do not dare, Junior Apprentice Sister Sang is not necessarily ugly. Shi Cheonghua spoke in a flat tone, as if there was no taste in her words. Seeing that the two of them did not seem to agree with each other, Elder Bei quickly invited Shi Cheonghua to sit down, while simultaneously pouring a cup of high-quality spiritual tea for Shi Cheonghua. After Shi Cheonghua took a sip of the spiritual tea, Elder Bei politely asked, for Elder Shi to grace the Rainbow Fall Sword sect with your presence, it is an honor for my Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Shi Cheonghua still spoke in a flat tone, I came here for a matter, I don't know if your noble academy's Ning Cheng is here. As soon as Ning Cheng came back, he immediately went into seclusion in the small spiritual domain. It is estimated that he will not come out for a short period of time. Elder Bei quickly replied. He vaguely felt that the purpose of this Shi Qianghua and Sang Jieju might be similar. Sure enough, Shi Qianghua slightly frowned, before continuing. Ning Cheng's cultivation is indeed a bit low, being able to go into seclusion for cultivation is also a good thing. Tan Tai Fei could not help but speak up. Is it possible that Elder Shi knows Ning Cheng? Shi Qianghua immediately spoke up. I do not know Ning Cheng, but this time Ning Cheng saved my severing emotions Dao Sect's true inheriting disciples Su Yingde and Bumei, as such I specifically came here to thank him. I also asked Bumei, and found that Ning Cheng is a good disciple. Moreover, my disciple Yingde also has a good impression of Ning Cheng, as such I want to play the matchmaker between Ning Cheng and Yingde. If Elder Bei agrees, then our two academies can form a marriage alliance. Sang Jieju gave a smile and spoke. The severing emotions Dao sect actually started to talk about love. It really is a bit strange. Shi Qianghua frowned once again. Tan Tai Fei on seeing this quickly stopped in front of her and spoke. On behalf of my academy's disciple Ning Cheng, I would like to thank the two of you for your love. But Ning Cheng is currently in seclusion, as such this matter would have to go through him personally. So be it. After Ning Cheng comes out of seclusion, I will let him personally go to the floating snow palace and the severing emotions Dao sect to return the gift. In that case, then I will take my leave first. Shi Qianghua was incomparably straightforward. She came fast, but left even faster. Seeing Shi Qianghua walk away, Sang Jieju also stood up and spoke to Elder Bei with a smile. I will also take my leave, but I will be waiting for apprentice nephew Ning Cheng at the academy. Elder Bei quickly agreed. Seventh Palace Master can rest assured, after Ning Cheng comes out of seclusion, I will definitely let him go to the floating snow palace. After sending off the severing emotions Dao Sect's Shi Qianghua and the floating snow palace's Sang Jieju, Rainbow Fall Sword Sect's Elder Bei asked, Senior Apprentice Brother Tantai, do you think the words spoken by Shi Qianghua and Sang Jieju are true? This matter is just too weird. Ning Cheng is just an inner sect disciple. Is it really necessary to carry out a marriage between two academies? Tan Tai Fei sneered, fart true, there is not even half of it. If I have not guessed wrong, then these two academies are eyeing Ning Cheng's things. Bei Youfa also spoke out with indignation. Ning Cheng saved the life of their academy's disciple, yet they even schemed against Ning Cheng. They really cannot be a good person. Senior Apprentice Brother Tantai, if Ning Cheng really agreed to it, then I really do not know how they would deal with it. Would they snatch Ning Cheng's things and then kill Ning Cheng? I think that the severing emotions Dao sect and the floating snow palace would not be so despicable, right? Tan Tai Fei shook his head and spoke. That is not the case. These two academies are at least among the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. For the severing emotions Dao sect to want their disciples to become Dao companions with Ning Cheng, it is very easy to understand. If the severing emotions Dao sect wants to cultivate to the pinnacle, then they would have to fall in love, and then sever their emotions. To put it bluntly, Shi Qianghua is just here to find a puppet for the disciples under her sect. After the female disciples under her sect sever their emotions on Ning Cheng would then turn into a waste. Moreover, Ning Cheng not only has to send good things to others, but he would also have to act as a stepping stone for others. Since she found Ning Cheng, then it shows that the true inheriting disciple called Su Yingde already has an impression of Ning Cheng, and can even fall in love with Ning Cheng. Oh, I knew that it would be like this, but this matter, the other elders of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect might really agree to it. Elder Bei sighed. Tan Tai Fei also sighed. In fact, I would also agree to it. Although the severing emotions Dao sect's Shi Qianghua did not say it out loud, but I know that they would definitely give up the spirit stone mine that our Rainbow Fall Sword sect discovered together. Using a true inheriting disciple to sever her emotions, coupled with a 9-colored mirage stone, and also a certain amount of spiritual enhancement true nectar. The severing emotions Dao sect has already calculated this deal, they would definitely not suffer a loss. I will not agree to it. I have observed that Ning Cheng has an upright character. Although he has some spiritual enhancement, true nectar, and even a 9-colored mirage stone, but these are all the disciples' own opportunities. Unless the disciples themselves are willing to contribute to the academy cannot take the initiative to deprive them. Bei Youfa immediately spoke. Tan Tai Fei waved his hand. This is not something that we can control. If the headmaster and the rest of the elders agree to it, then even if we oppose it, it would not be of any use. However, the headmaster is an upright person, and should not agree to it. However, the floating snow palace wanting to marry their true inheriting disciple Yin Kong Chan to Ning Cheng, is somewhat beyond my expectations. If the floating snow palace insists on marrying their disciple Yin Kong Chan and Ning Cheng as Dao companions, then they would have a much bigger advantage compared to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. You mean to say that the floating snow palace will provide the soul refining snow and ice domain, and let our Rainbow Fall Sword sect share it? Bei Youfa asked. I'm afraid that's the case. They probably have their eyes on Ning Cheng's 9-colored mirage stone and spiritual enhancement true nectar. It's just that I do not understand why they would choose Yin Kong Chan. Tan Tai Fei nodded and replied. Bei Youfa gave a sigh. If that is the case, then there is no way for me to help Ning Cheng. I can only hope that he would go into seclusion in the small spiritual domain for a period of time. I know a thing or two about the floating snow palace's Yin Kong Chan, but Yin Kong Chan wholeheartedly pursues the Dao. Even if she and Ning Cheng become Dao companions, I estimate that she would not really choose to dual cultivate with Ning Cheng. This matter might not be what we are guessing, there might even be a deeper reason behind it. These two academies, even if they wanted to scheme for Ning Cheng's mirage stone and spiritual enhancement true nectar, it is reasonable to say that they would not come up with such a rotten idea. They definitely have countless ways to make Ning Cheng willingly take it out. Is there really another reason? Or is it something that our Rainbow Fall Sword sect does not know about? Tan Tai Fei muttered to himself. Chapter 281. Ning Cheng, who was cultivating in the small spiritual domain, was completely unaware of this. At this time he was once again in the process of crazily absorbing the spiritual chi of the small spiritual domain. The golden core in his core lake circulated rapidly. As the golden core gradually grew bigger, the layer of faint gold on its surface became clearer. Perhaps only Ning Cheng with his powerful meridians and cultivation method, would be able to absorb the spiritual chi in such a crazy manner. If replaced by another cultivator, then even if they could absorb the spiritual chi in such a manner, they would definitely explode. Not to mention transforming the spirit chi into his own cultivation to strengthen his golden core. However, Ning Cheng was not affected in the slightest. It seemed that no matter how much spiritual chi came to him, he could consume it all, and then transform this spiritual chi into his own true essence. From the profound core first level to the profound core second level, there were almost no waves. As Ning Cheng immersed himself in this kind of crazy cultivation, as time passed by unconsciously. Junior Apprentice Sister Kursin, congratulations on advancing to the Soul Essence realm and becoming a core disciple. I really did not expect that you would actually use only 7 months to advance from a profound congealing 9th level cultivator to a Soul Essence 1st level cultivator. I estimate that I will soon be left behind by you. On a peak that pierced through the clouds, Sun Hanrui spoke to Liang Kursin in a joyful manner. This mountain peak was Liang Kursin's new immortal cave after she advanced to the Soul Essence realm and became a core disciple. Liang Kursin's face was also filled with happiness, but after listening to Sun Hanrui's congratulations, she shook her head and spoke, Senior Apprentice Sister Hanrui, I am well aware of my own situation. Do not look at me advancing from the profound congealing 9th level to the Soul Essence 1st level in just 7 months. However, this has already consumed many years of accumulation. Now that I am at the Essence Soul Realm 1st level to the Essence Soul Realm 2nd level, it will take a lot more time than this. Senior Sister is already at the 3rd level of the Soul Essence Realm, I will definitely not be able to catch up. Liang Kursen was very clear that rather than saying that she had cultivated to the soul essence realm, it would be better to say that she had recovered to the soul essence realm. So many years of preparation, coupled with the mirage stones and spiritual enhancement true nectar that Ning Cheng had given her, even the 2 months of cultivation in the small spiritual domain, were all for the sake of restoring her cultivation. After this accumulation was used up, her cultivation would be the same as others, and she would slowly accumulate it again. Senior apprentice brother Ning has gone into seclusion in the small spiritual domain, and has not come out until now. I really don't know what his current cultivation is like. Sun Hanrui couldn't help but think that Ning Cheng and Liang Kursen had entered the Rainbow Fall Sword sect together. Since Sun Hanrui was already at the soul essence first level, then presumably Ning Cheng was not too far away from her. Liang Kursen smiled and spoke, "Senior apprentice brother Ning still has nearly 20 months of cultivation time. I estimate that it will be a long time before he comes out. Senior sister Hanrui, I want to go to the sect to accept some missions. What about you?" Sun Hanrui quickly spoke up, "I was just about to talk to you about this matter. The Tian Continent's great meet of the academies is about to begin. Our Rainbow Fall Sword sect also wants to participate. Many of our disciples have already gone there. The disciples participating in this tournament are the elites of our academy. I want to go and have a look. If you want to go, then we can go together. The competition for the top 10 sects." Liang Kursen obviously did not know anything. When she heard about the Tian Continent's great meet of the academies, she immediately understood. Sun Hanrui nodded, "That's right. Since many years ago when the Rainbow Fall Sword sect was squeezed out of the top 10 academies, it could only exist as a quasi-first-class academy, and was never able to squeeze into the ranks of the top 10 academies. This time my Rainbow Fall Sword sect has produced a lot of outstanding disciples, perhaps we can compete for it once. This time even the academy head has gone there, moreover there are also a lot of people from the academy. Senior apprentice sister Hanrui, are you not going to participate?" Liang Kursen quickly asked. Sun Hanrui gave a wry smile and spoke, "I only have the cultivation of soul essence 3rd level, moreover my strength is also very ordinary in the academy. How can I represent the academy to participate in this tournament? If we go and take a look at the other people's understanding of magical techniques, then it would definitely be of great benefit. Besides, the Tian Continent's great meet of the academies is always very lively, with all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures gathered together. Maybe we can even buy some good things there. Of course I want to go. Where is the great meet of the academies taking place?" Liang Kursen quickly spoke up. "In the Heavenly Tao Academy's Heavenly Tao Public Square, the Rainbow Fall Makeshift Market has a large airship that goes directly to the Heavenly Tao Public Square. Even if we take a flight-type magical weapon to get there, it would only take a few days." Sun Hanrui replied. Liang Kursen immediately spoke up, "Of course I want to go. It's a pity that senior apprentice brother Ning has not come out of seclusion, otherwise with his temperament, he would definitely be the first to go." "Do you know senior apprentice brother Ning very well?" Sun Hanrui suddenly asked. Liang Kursen gave a wry smile and spoke, "The fact is that I really do not know much about him. I have already told you about the process of getting to know him, it was only through a transaction. He is a very sentimental person, and would not let his friends suffer losses. I feel that he is very trustworthy." "Do you think that a person like Ning Cheng already has a Tao companion?" Sun Hanrui suddenly asked an irrelevant question. Liang Kursen was surprised for a moment. She had never thought about this. She had only regarded Ning Cheng as a friend, and really did not think about the matter of Ning Cheng having a Tao companion. Now that Sun Hanrui asked this question, she was stunned for a moment, before she immediately asked in doubt, "Senior apprentice sister Hanrui, do you have a favorable impression of Ning Cheng, and even want to become a Tao companion with him?" Sun Hanrui's face immediately turned red, as she quickly explained, "What are you thinking about? I just regard senior apprentice brother Ning as a friend. The reason why I asked this question, is because when senior apprentice brother Ning was in seclusion, there were some academies that came to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to propose marriage to him. Senior apprentice brother Ning only has the cultivation of profound core realm, who would deliberately come to propose marriage in the form of an academy. Even if they wanted to propose it, they would not go through the academy, right? Liang Kursin also had a look of disbelief on her face. Sun Hanrui's complexion returned to normal, but she still did not understand and spoke. That's right, the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace are among the top 10 academies of the Tian continent. Even if senior apprentice brother Ning's performance in the ancient immortal mansion was quite good, it would not be enough for these two academies to marry off a true inheriting disciple, right? She still had a sentence that she did not say, not to mention these two major academies. Even an ordinary core disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would not choose Ningcheng, not to mention a true inheriting disciple. The Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace. Liang Kursin repeated the sentence in shock, and then suddenly spoke. I understand, these two academies must have taken a fancy to the things on senior apprentice brother Ning, they really are shameless. Sun Hanrui shook her head and spoke, not necessarily. Even if Ningcheng has many things on him, it would only be the mirage stones and the spiritual enhancement true nectar. With the strength of these two academies, they would definitely be able to come and purchase them. There is simply no need for a marriage, there might be some other reason behind it. Liang Kursin suddenly giggled and spoke, forget it, these things are already decided by senior apprentice brother Ning. Besides, the true inheriting disciples of the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace are also quite good, they are just barely worthy of senior apprentice brother Ning. Liang Kursin's words, even Sun Hanrui who did not laugh loudly could not help but laugh out loud. The Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace's true inheriting female disciples, how could they just barely be worthy of Ningcheng? Ningcheng was still in the small spiritual domain. After he stimulated his true essence to break through the barrier of the profound core 7th level, the crazily rotating golden core lake in his core lake suddenly burst into flames, as a horrifying pain crazily poured into Ningcheng's consciousness. Poof! Ningcheng directly spurted out a mouthful of hot blood. At this moment Ningcheng felt his whole body weak, he even lost the strength to even truss a chicken. Moreover, he did not have the ability to extinguish the flames on his golden core, it was as if his golden core was not under his control. Not good, this was the result of the small spiritual domain absorbing too much spiritual qi, causing the yang qi to burn the body. Fortunately, Ningcheng had heard a few of his senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters talk about it, as such he knew that the yang qi burning the body came from the inside out. In the end, if it was light, then he would lose his cultivation, if it was heavy, then even his corporeal body would disappear. At this time, Ningcheng did not dare to continue absorbing the spiritual qi in this place for cultivation, he did not even dare to mobilize the mysterious yellow origin. The mysterious yellow origin was a kind of pure yang qi, if he mobilized it, then it would simply be like pouring oil on a volcano. Seeing that the thin flames on his golden core were about to completely cover his golden core, Ningcheng simply could not do anything about it. He could only barely stimulate the Star River Formation to absorb these flames. He did not know if the Star River Formation could absorb these flames, but he simply did not have a better way. What made Ningcheng incomparably surprised was that after he mobilized the Star River Formation, a force immediately swept over, completely swallowing up the flames on Ningcheng's golden core. The brightness of his golden core dimmed a bit, Ningcheng's cultivation that had just advanced to the profound core 7th level once again fell to the golden core 6th level. Although his cultivation did not rise but instead fell, but Ningcheng still felt relieved, how could he dare to continue cultivating in this place? Feeling his true essence slowly recovering, Ningcheng was secretly afraid in his heart. He knew that there were limitations to cultivating in the small spiritual domain. Once the yang qi burning body occurred, then it would be difficult to reverse the situation. But from what he had heard about the yang qi burning body, most of it happened in the great circle of the soul essence realm, or even cultivators in the soul sculpting realm and above. Even soul essence cultivators rarely encountered such a situation, so why would his profound core 7th level yang qi burning body occur? Calculating the time, he found that he had only cultivated for a little more than 7 months, not even 8 months. Originally he had intended to cultivate until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm, but now it seemed that it was simply impossible. If he wanted to continue cultivating in this place, then he would have to find a way to curb the yang qi burning body. Fortunately, he still had the Star River seed, otherwise, how would he be able to extinguish the spontaneous combustion of his golden core? There is never a perfect thing. Ning Qing stood up, as he helplessly muttered to himself, "Fortunately, I still have the Star River seed." Ha! When Ning Qing spoke about the Star River seed, he found that the Star River seed in his Zifu, because it had absorbed a trace of the golden core flame, unexpectedly had a pale golden trace on it, as if it was about to break out of its shell. Suddenly a crazy idea emerged in Ning Cheng's heart: could he continue cultivating, and then let his golden core burn again, and then let the Star River seed absorb the flames from his golden core? Crazy. Ning Cheng immediately put an end to his own idea. Even if this method could let his Star River seed break out of its shell, but his golden core would definitely be finished. Besides, how could he bear that kind of inhuman pain? "I can't continue cultivating in the small spiritual domain," Ning Cheng sighed. Unfortunately he still had nearly a year's time. Forget it, everything has a limit. Moreover, even if the yang qi burning body did not occur, he would have to leave the small spiritual domain soon. To advance to the soul essence realm, he would have to face the soul essence thunder tribulation. Moreover, Ning Cheng also knew that with his qualifications, if he wanted to advance to the soul essence realm, then without the soul condensing pill, it would be absolutely impossible. He had to find the soul condensing pill, as well as prepare for the thunder tribulation. Chapter 282. You came out. Ning Cheng had just come out of the small spiritual domain, when the old man guarding the entrance of the small spiritual domain took the initiative to speak up. "Yes, Senior. Junior still has some time to use this jade talisman. Senior, please help me exchange it for a jade token. I will come back to cultivate in the future." Ning Cheng crushed a corner of the jade talisman in his hand and handed it to the old man. He was a bit surprised as to why this old man would take the initiative to greet him today. He had been here twice, and the old man usually did not take the initiative to greet him with such a tone. Besides, it took him more than 7 months to advance from the profound core 1st level to the profound core 6th level. For the cultivators cultivating in the small spiritual domain, this speed was not very fast, rather it was ridiculously slow. The old man very skillfully helped Ning Cheng exchange the 10 cultivation jade cards, and spoke. "Elder Bei is looking for you for a few things. He said that after you come out of seclusion, you can go to him." "Many thanks, Senior, this junior understands." After Ning Cheng put away the jade card, he quickly thanked the elder. Only then did he know that it was Elder Bei who had greeted him. Elder Bei was Bei Youfa, although Ning Cheng did not have any backing in the Rainbow Falls Sword sect, but if one had to talk about backing, then Elder Bei could also be regarded as his backing. The main reason was that Elder Bei was a very good person, and also appreciated Ning Cheng very much. Ning Cheng also had a lot of respect for this Elder Bei. If not for Elder Bei during the last mission, then he absolutely would not have been able to come back so easily. Moreover, he was even able to obtain a generous reward. Therefore, as soon as Ning Cheng came out of the small spiritual domain, he directly headed towards the distant Sword Peak. The far Sword Peak was the immortal cave that Elder Bei lived in, although Ning Cheng had not come here before, but he knew about the far Sword Peak. The distant Sword Peak was extremely ordinary, and it was even inferior to the cave residences of some direct disciples. From this distant Sword Peak, Ning Cheng could see that Elder Bei liked this kind of environment that was as ordinary as water. If there was anything different about this place, then as soon as Ning Cheng arrived here, he could feel a kind of scholarly aura. This kind of aura and Elder Bei's identity as a Confucian scholar was somewhat in line. But senior apprentice brother Ning Cheng came out. Ning Cheng had just arrived outside the distant Sword Peaks restriction when the restriction immediately opened. A youth dressed as a book boy stood inside the restriction and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. "Yes, I want to pay a visit to Elder Bay." Ning Cheng quickly replied in a polite manner. The youth took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng and spoke, "This is something that Elder Bay left for you. Elder Bay has already gone to the Heavenly Dao Public Square." "Thank you, junior brother." Ning Cheng received the jade strip and immediately left the far Sword Peak. Since Elder Bay was not here, he would first return to the Washing Sword Peak. After returning to his residence, Ning Cheng first took out the jade strip that Elder Bay had given him. After looking through the jade strip, Ning Cheng shook his head speechlessly, before throwing the jade strip into his ring. He didn't take the things in the jade slip to heart at all. Why would the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace's true inheriting female disciples take a fancy to him? He even came to the sect for a marriage alliance. Who was he trying to fool? Not to mention that Ning Cheng simply did not believe that these two female disciples from the academies would take a fancy to him. Even if he believed it, he would just treat it as if it was just a clump of air. Ning Cheng, who came from Earth, did not treat marriage as a child's play. He and the cultivators here had some differences, that is, marriage was a major event in life, and one could not be sloppy about it. What's more, he already had Ji Luofei. He and Ji Luofei had met each other in times of adversity. This kind of relationship was much more reliable compared to the other academies who fancied his spiritual enhancement True Nectar and Mirage Stones. No, Ning Cheng suddenly felt that his idea was a bit too simple. The Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace were academies that were even bigger than the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Would such academies take the initiative to initiate a marriage alliance just because of his spiritual enhancement True Nectar and Mirage Stones? Even if they wanted these things, wouldn't they be able to purchase them? Why would they use such a method that others would look down on? This matter should not be as simple as it looks on the surface. Ning Cheng rubbed his head, thinking for a long time but still could not come up with a reason. In the end, he directly patted his own head. This matter was obviously not taken to heart by the academy. If the academy had taken it to heart, then how could they have allowed Elder Bay to leave behind a jade strip for him after he came out of the academy? Since the academies did not take it to heart, then why should he worry about it? As for the message left behind by Elder Bay, suggesting him to go to the Severing Emotions Tao sect and the Floating Snow Palace, Ning Cheng directly ignored it. Even if the Floating Snow Palace had the soul refining snow and ice domain, Ning Cheng did not care about it. The reason why he suffered from the yang qi burning his body in the small spiritual domain was because he cultivated inside. If he did not cultivate inside, then this kind of thing would not happen again, so why would he go to the Floating Snow Palace? Moreover, if he went to the Floating Snow Palace, would he be able to use the soul-refining snow and ice domain? After putting aside the matters of the Floating Snow Palace and the Severing Emotions Tao sect, Ning Cheng was instead interested in the Tian continent's great meet of the academies that Elder Bay mentioned. For this great meet of the academies, almost all the elites of the Tian continent would be participating in it. As such, he did not know if there would be any soul-condensing pills for sale. The soul-condensing pill was a rank 7 pill. The main spiritual grasses used to refine it were the essence soul fruit and several other extremely precious spiritual objects. Currently Ning Cheng did not have the essence soul fruit, not to mention that even if Ning Cheng had this kind of spiritual object, he would not be able to refine a rank 7 pill. With his current level of alchemy, even if he refined a rank 5 profound pill, he would not be able to do so. Regardless of whether he could continue to cultivate in the small spiritual domain or not, the most important thing for him now was to find the soul-condensing pill, while simultaneously preparing for the Thunder Tribulation. After Ning Cheng sorted out this information, he first went to the Academy Exchange Hall. He still had 1,000,000 contribution points. He wanted to see if he could use these contribution points to exchange for a soul-condensing pill. If he could use these contribution points to exchange for a soul-condensing pill, then he would not have to go around to buy them. Besides, if he wanted to buy a better soul-condensing pill, then he might not necessarily have enough spirit stones. You want to exchange for a soul-condensing pill? The steward responsible for the exchange of contribution points asked in a puzzled tone, and not waiting for Ning Cheng to answer, he spoke again. 200,000 contribution points, is there really a soul-condensing pill to exchange? Moreover, it is so cheap. Ning Cheng was pleasantly surprised as he took out his contribution point jade card. The steward responsible for the exchange simply did not take Ning Cheng's jade card, and only glanced at Ning Cheng, before he spoke in a light voice. I have not finished speaking. 200,000 contribution points, plus an essence soul fruit. Hearing the last three words, Ning Cheng almost cursed out loud. He had the essence soul fruit, where else could he not exchange it for a soul-condensing pill, and even came to the academy to exchange for it? Ning Cheng knew that there was no way for him to argue about this kind of thing. He did not even ask anything, as he put away the contribution point jade card and proceeded towards the method depository pavilion. Ning Cheng knew that most of the cultivators in charge of the method depository pavilion, as well as the ones in charge of the exchange, did not have a high cultivation. Most of them were older, and were unable to make any progress. But when Ning Cheng saw the long-eyebrowed old man in charge of the method depository pavilion, his heart immediately tightened. This long-eyebrowed old man looked very ordinary on the surface. At most he was a cultivator in the soul-sculpting realm. However, he had a vague feeling in his heart that this long-eyebrowed old man's cultivation was definitely much higher than Elder Bay's. This old man was at least a late-stage crucible transformation cultivator, or even higher. Senior, I want to go to the method depository pavilion to look for some information on the jade strips. Ning Cheng came forward and spoke in a very respectful manner. The long-eyebrowed old man who had been pondering over a tortoise shell in his hand suddenly raised his head, as he glanced at Ning Cheng, before he frowned. Ning Cheng was worried, when this old man suddenly spoke up. Look at the array formation display on the side. Hearing the words of this old man, Ning Cheng immediately noticed that there was an array formation display behind this old man. He then saw a variety of jade strips in the pavilion, the cultivation method pavilion's first floor, a day's worth of 100 contribution points, the cultivation method pavilion's second floor, a day's worth of 1,000 contribution points. What artifact crafting pavilion, alchemy pavilion? Ning Cheng casually looked around, and found that there were at least a few dozen pavilions. Moreover, each of these pavilions seemed to have many floors. This large academy really had a deep heritage. With so many jade strips, he did not know how long it would take for them to accumulate all of them. Ning Cheng quickly found the materials pavilion that he needed, and quickly spoke up. I want to go to the materials pavilion to look at some information. Put down 10,000 contribution points, and go in yourself. If you come out you will have to refund the amount you owe. The long-eyebrowed old man spoke in a flat tone. Ning Cheng quickly took out his contribution point jade card, and transferred out 10,000 contribution points. After Ning Cheng disappeared through the door, and entered the materials pavilion, this long-eyebrowed old man shook his head and spoke. A silk pants, to be able to use the small spiritual domain to cultivate to the yang qi burning body technique in the profound core 6th level, it can be considered as the first. Moreover, there are also 1,000,000 contribution points. I don't know which bastard elder's descendant he is, it is simply a waste of resources. If you want to cultivate in the small spiritual domain, then the small spiritual domain would not be called the small spiritual domain, it might as well be called the heaven realm. Ning Cheng, who had already entered the materials pavilion, certainly did not know that he was being looked down upon as a rich second generation. At this time Ning Cheng was looking for all the information about the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves on the jade strips. Although he knew some of the characteristics of the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves, and even obtained a pair of them, moreover he had already refined them into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. But Ning Cheng did not know anything about the advancement of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, or even how to advance it. Now that he had obtained a pair of taintless silver wing feathers, he was even more eager to know how to advance the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. In any case, the more powerful the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, the more advantageous it would be for him. The materials pavilion had innumerable jade strips for all kinds of materials. Even with Ning Cheng's powerful spiritual consciousness, it still took him a full 3 days to find the introduction of the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves in the most remote corner. After reading through this jade strip, Ning Cheng came to know just how rare the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves were. But the introduction of the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves on the jade strip was not very detailed. It only said that after the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves were refined into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, for each advancement, the wings would have one more ray of light. When the rays of light on the wings reached 6, the twin wings of the heavenly clouds would undergo a qualitative change. As for how the qualitative change would occur, there was no introduction. But there were some materials that could assist in the advancement of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Even how to refine these materials into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds was also described in detail. After reading through the jade strip, Ning Cheng already knew how to use the taintless silver wing feathers to advance the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Putting away the jade strip, Ning Cheng quickly left the method depository pavilion. He wanted to go back and advance his twin wings of the heavenly clouds. After his twin wings of the heavenly clouds advanced, he would immediately go outside to see if he could obtain some spirit congealing pills. Chapter 283. After returning to the immortal cave, Ning Cheng first took out the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and the taintless silver wing feathers. Ning Cheng had already refined the twin wings of the heavenly clouds for a long time, as such his twin wings of the heavenly clouds now had a faint glow. He did not know that after refining this pair of taintless silver wing feathers, this faint glow would turn into 2. In accordance with the method of integrating the taintless silver wing feathers on the jade strip, Ning Cheng refined the taintless silver wing feathers, and carefully integrated it into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Wings and twin wings only had a difference of a single word. After refining the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves it would be called the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, but Ning Cheng felt that calling it the twin wings of the heavenly clouds would be more appropriate. After all, the wings were grown on his body, but this pair of wings was refined from the twin radiant heavenly cloud leaves, and could be taken down at any time. It was equivalent to a flight-type magical weapon. What's more, now that he had refined the taintless silver wing feathers, this name was more appropriate than the wings. A few days later, when the taintless silver wing feathers in Ning Cheng's hands gradually melted into the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, the 2 pieces of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds originally had a faint glow, but it was even softer than the previous glow. Ning Cheng raised his hand, and the twin wings of the heavenly clouds instantly disappeared. He immediately felt the difference after the upgrade of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Then with a slight flash, the next moment he unexpectedly appeared more than 10 feet away. So powerful, Ning Cheng was pleasantly surprised in his heart. Buying this pair of taintless silver wing feathers was definitely the right choice. Even if he lost the geocentric 9 essence jade strip, it was still worth it. You want to buy soul condensing pills? A shop assistant from a pill house in the Rainbow Fall makeshift market stared at Ning Cheng with wide eyes, seemingly thinking that he had heard wrong. Ning Cheng immediately understood that the question he had just asked was somewhat inappropriate, and quickly spoke up, I want to buy soul condensing pills, but I also know that soul condensing pills are something that is very difficult to find. I would like to ask, where can I find soul condensing pills? The shop assistant's mouth hung a trace of a smile, and spoke with a teasing tone. If it was before, then it would really be very difficult to buy this pill, but now there must be a place that has it. That is the Heavenly Tao Public Square, the Heavenly Tao Public Square where the great meet of the academies is held. The great meet would last for 3 months, but now it has only been less than a month. During this time, almost all the good things in the Tian continent would be gathered at the Heavenly Tao Public Square. If you go to that place, I guarantee you'll hear that the soul concentrating pill is on sale, hee. Ning Cheng was able to understand the meaning behind the last 2 words of the shop assistant, that is, the Heavenly Tao Public Square was indeed selling soul condensing pills, but it was not something that a profound core 6th level cultivator like him could get his hands on. Although Ning Cheng understood the meaning of this man, but he did not care about it at all. If he could find the soul-condensing pill in the Rainbow Fall makeshift market, then he intended to look for a place to continue cultivating until he reached the great circle of the profound core realm, before preparing to attack the soul essence realm. Now that he discovered that the soul-condensing pill was so precious, Ning Qing decided to follow his original plan and go to the Heavenly Dao public square. After purchasing a simple map of the Tian continent, Ning Qing left the Rainbow Fall makeshift market. The Heavenly Dao public square was not close to the Rainbow Fall makeshift market. Ning Qing estimated that with the speed of his twin wings of the heavenly clouds, it would take him at most 2 days to reach there. After Ning Qing left the makeshift market, he did not bring out the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Instead, he brought out a low-grade airship spiritual artifact. With his powerful spiritual consciousness, he had just left the Rainbow Fall makeshift market when he realized that someone was following him. Ning Qing was not afraid of tracking a cultivator that he was able to discover. Sure enough, after an hour, a pale red shadow suddenly rushed out and stopped in front of Ning Qing. Ning Qing landed on the airship, as he calmly stared at the figure in front of him and spoke, "Fu Xingnan, you are just like a dog skin plaster sticking to me. Is it possible that you can't get married, so you want to look for me, a true inheriting disciple from the top 10 academies, a tall rich handsome man?" The red-robed female cultivator who stopped Ning Qing was Fu Xingnan. Ning Qing guessed that this woman definitely did not come to thank him, as his words were not even half a shred of politeness. Fu Xingnan did not know what a tall rich handsome man was, so it must have been a boast. Her face turned green and red for a moment, before she suddenly spoke, "Ning Qing, although you did not take the initiative to save me, but looking at the fact that you saved me once, I will not haggle with you this time. I just want you to do one thing." Ning Qing gave a chuckle and spoke, "You know that I saved you, yet you still want me to do one thing. Do you really feel that good about yourself? I really don't understand where your superiority comes from. Why don't your mother and father have this kind of superiority? It's just too weird." Fu Xingnan did not hear Ning Qing calling her wild, as she suppressed her anger and spoke, "You better not get close to my little sister, that sissy, it would not be good for you. Whether I get close to my little sister or not, it's none of your business." Ning Qing spoke with disdain. This woman had plotted against him, if not for Ning Qing knowing that he could not start at this moment, coupled with the fact that the other party was Fu Xiaomei's little sister, perhaps he would have already started a fight with her. "Good, good, you asked for it." Fu Xingnan was so angry that her entire body was trembling. After she spoke the word "good" twice, she suddenly brought out a flight-type magical weapon, and instantly disappeared without a trace. Unexpectedly she did not even speak a single word to Ning Qing. After Fu Xingnan left, Ning Qing not only did not leave, but instead took out his profound break spear, while at the same time spoke in a cold voice, "Roll out, if you want to start, then hurry up, don't hide your head and show your tail." Ning Qing's voice had just fallen, when another shadow landed in front of Ning Qing. It was also a female cultivator, wearing a green cultivator's robe, with a very unique hairstyle, which matched with her white face, made her look very beautiful. However, at this time this female cultivator was giving off a trace of murderous aura. It was obvious that she had come here to kill Ning Qing. With her cultivation at soul essence 3rd level, if she wanted to kill Ning Qing, then in theory, it would not be a problem for her. "You unexpectedly knew that I and Xingnan were following you. It seems like I underestimated you. Even if Xingnan did not join forces with me, if I wanted to kill you by myself, it would only take a breath of time." As this green-robed female cultivator finished speaking, her entire body overflowed with murderous aura, and in an instant, she was able to control the imposing manner in this space. Ning Qing acted as if he did not feel this kind of terrifying and sharp murderous aura, and still spoke in a calm and unhurried manner, "I find it very strange, I don't even know you, so why do you want to kill me? Even if you want to die, you should at least give me a reason. Since you are already dead, then what reason do you need?" As the green-robed female cultivator spoke, she waved the long damask in her hands a few times. The color of the long damask was the same as the green robe she was wearing, both were green in color. With this sway, this green-robed female cultivator's entire person disappeared. In front of Ning Cheng, there were only green-colored sword lights. It seemed that every time this green damask swayed, the number of green-colored sword lights would increase by several times. Ning Cheng shook his profound break spear, causing the 36 profound ice spear shadows to similarly transform into a spear net, which instantly formed an ice-cold spear net that blocked the countless green-colored sword lights. When the ice-cold profound ice spear shadows and the green damask sword lights collided, Ning Cheng immediately realized that the other party's true essence was not as vigorous as his. He had already vaguely guessed who this female cultivator was, since he came out of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, then no one from the outside would know about it. This female cultivator and Fu Xingnan had come together to hunt him down, so she was definitely a person from the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Moreover, this female cultivator was not someone called by Fu Xingnan to help her. If Fu Xingnan had called for help, then since Fu Xingnan had already left, there was no reason for this female cultivator to continue staying in this place. So Ning Cheng did not need to guess at all, he already knew that this female cultivator was one of Wen Han's people. He guessed that Wen Han had gone to the Heavenly Dao public square, and this female cultivator had listened to Wen Han's instructions, and was specifically waiting for Ning Cheng in this place. As long as one was a cultivator, they would be very clear that the gap between the soul essence realm and the profound core realm was absolutely not something that the gap between the profound core realm and the profound congealing realm could be compared to. At least in the Yixing mainland, a profound core realm cultivator who could block a soul essence cultivator was as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn. Moreover, such a rare profound core cultivator was at the great circle of the profound core realm. Ning Cheng, with his cultivation at intermediate stage profound core 6th level, to fight against this green-robed female cultivator at soul essence 3rd level, in anyone's opinion, it was simply an act of courting death. This green-robed female cultivator also gave a sneer, courting death. A profound core 6th level cultivator, unexpectedly dared to use a spear technique to block her green damask sword lights. If this was not courting death, then what was? If it was replaced by another profound core 6th level cultivator, then it would indeed be courting death. However, this kind of reasoning could not be applied to Ning Cheng, not to mention that Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was already far stronger than the green-robed female cultivator. Even Ning Cheng's true essence was much more powerful than the other party. The only thing that Ning Cheng was not as good as the other party was that he had not yet condensed the embryonic form of his soul essence, as such his true essence and spiritual consciousness were far inferior to the other party. However, Ning Cheng's fierceness lay in the fact that his spiritual consciousness had been tempered in the chaotic star space, as such its intensity and degree of condensation was far stronger than that of this green-robed female cultivator. Pa 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 pa. The profound ice spear shadows and the green damask sword lights of the other party clashed together, causing an endless vortex of true essence to surge up. The countless green damask sword lights looked as if they had just been fried in a pan of oil, as they quickly withered and weakened. The green damask sword lights were dispersed by the explosion, while the green-robed female cultivator was also forced to continuously retreat under the onslaught of the terrifying and powerful spear shadows. As the ice-cold aura assaulted her, she unexpectedly suffered some minor injuries. How is this possible? The green-robed female cultivator was still in a state of shock as to how this was possible, when Ning Cheng's cosmic true devil axe had already arrived. At this moment, this green-robed female cultivator was looking down on him. How could Ning Cheng not seize the opportunity? A tearing and twisting axe trace directly cut through the distance between the green-robed female cultivator and Ning Cheng. Everything in front of the axe trace, even the air, was directly split into nothingness. Previously, the green-robed female cultivator had formed a formidable imposing aura with her soul essence cultivation, but under this terrifying axe trace, it had already turned into nothingness. Seeing an incomparably clear axe trace descending towards her glabella, she could even see the tiny axe lines around the axe trace. The green-robed female cultivator was immediately frightened out of her wits. How could she continue to think that Ning Qing only had the cultivation of profound core 6th level? In a moment of desperation, she even began to burn her essence blood, as she instantly brought out a small cauldron. After bringing out this small cauldron, it immediately turned into a huge cauldron with a radius of nearly 10 feet, but not waiting for this cauldron to continue to expand its imposing aura, Ning Cheng's axe trace had already struck the top of the cauldron. Bang! A terrifying explosion erupted. The green-robed female cultivator, because she did not put Ning Cheng in her eyes, hastily brought out her defensive huge cauldron, causing her to spit out a mouthful of blood. The huge cauldron was struck by the cosmic true devil axe, causing an incomparably fast and tiny axe line to pass through the huge cauldron, before quickly cutting across the arm of the green-robed female cultivator. Chapter 284. Poof! A blood arrow splashed out, as Ning Cheng's axe line directly cut off one of the green-robed female cultivator's arms, causing it to fall off. The green-robed female cultivator felt shocked. Not waiting for her severed arm to fall to the ground, she grabbed it and quickly retreated. She had never thought that in a direct confrontation, she would end up losing one of her arms to a profound core 6th level cultivator. Ning Cheng did not even think about it, as he once again blasted out with his cosmic true devil axe, sweeping up a berserk axe-killing vortex. He wanted to take this opportunity to kill off this green-robed female cultivator. He knew that the only reason he could chop off this green-robed female cultivator's arm was because this green-robed female cultivator did not put him in her eyes. If this green-robed female cultivator had taken him seriously from the beginning, he might not have succeeded. In the end, even if he could defeat this green-robed female cultivator, he would have to spend a lot of effort. The green-robed female cultivator finally recovered her senses. She completely understood that Ning Cheng was different from ordinary profound core cultivators. Not only was he different, but he was also not inferior to her in any way. At this moment, she didn't dare to be careless anymore. The defensive small cauldron in front of her expanded once again. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a huge cauldron that was more than 10 feet in size, completely protecting her. The endless whirlpool of axe shadows bombarded the top of the huge cauldron. Boom boom boom. A series of violent explosions rang out, completely lifting up the surrounding sand and gravel into a cloud of dust. However, the final whirlpool axe shadow once again sent the green-robed female cultivator flying backwards, causing the green-robed female cultivator's expressions to change. At this time, she fully understood that even if she did not look down on Ning Cheng, she would not necessarily be a match for Ning Cheng. At best, she would be on the same level as Ning Cheng. From the time she started cultivating till now, she had never seen such a powerful profound core cultivator like Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng currently had the cultivation of profound core realm. Once Ning Cheng advanced to the soul essence realm, just how terrifying would he be? Ning Cheng was also shocked by the powerful true essence, causing him to fall back. He sighed in his heart. It seemed that it would not be easy for him to kill this green-dressed woman, unless she did not run away. If he hadn't chopped off one of her arms, he might have had to use all his trump cards to gain the upper hand. At this time, the green-robed woman had completely calmed down. She swallowed a few pills, and a long green ribbon wrapped around her head. A swift and fierce imposing aura once again slowly gathered around her. She guessed that she might not be Ning Cheng's opponent, but with the pride of a soul essence cultivator, she was not willing to run away from a profound core cultivator. Ning Cheng, who was about to continue his attack, suddenly gave a cold snort and spoke, "Today you are lucky, the next time you meet me, you might not be so lucky." Saying that, Ning Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. The green-robed female cultivator stared at the spot where Ning Cheng disappeared. She even forgot that she should have picked up her severed arm first. No matter from what point of view, Ning Cheng had the advantage, so why would he take the initiative to retreat? While she was still in a daze, another red figure landed. "Senior Sister Shi Xing, you've already killed before the red-robed female cultivator could finish her words, she suddenly froze. She saw that the green-robed female cultivator had lost an arm and immediately asked, "What's going on?" The green-robed female cultivator was even more horrified in her heart. She had not noticed when Fu Xingnan had arrived, but that profound core 6th level cultivator had unexpectedly been one step ahead of her in sensing Fu Xingnan's arrival. No wonder this profound core cultivator took the initiative to leave. It turns out that he knew that he was not a match for two soul essence cultivators. "I'm not his opponent." The green-robed female cultivator called Xixing spoke out with a pale face, as she took out her severed arm and swallowed a few pills, before sitting down on the ground. Fu Xingnan was extremely shocked in her heart. She had never thought that Xixing would say that she was not Ning Cheng's opponent. Although Ning Cheng's cultivation progress was not small, but he still only had the cultivation of profound core 6th level. A profound core 6th level cultivator in the small spiritual domain was simply nothing. How could he beat a soul essence 3rd level cultivator? It was absolutely impossible. Fu Xingnan, who was full of doubts, waited until Xixing stood up again, before she hurriedly asked, "Senior sister Xixing, did you just say that you are not Ning Cheng's opponent?" Xixing glanced at Fu Xingnan and spoke, "That's right, I am not his opponent. If it weren't for you, then maybe I would have already been killed. This person is just too terrifying. Currently he is only at profound core 6th level. Once he advances to the soul essence realm, he would be able to kill me with just a lift of his hand. Not to mention Wen Han, even senior apprentice brother K would not be his opponent. This time I was plotted against by Wen Han. If I had known that the person he wanted to kill was so powerful, I would have never coveted his benefits." Xixing finished speaking. As she brought out her flight-type magical weapon and turned around to leave, she did not even ask Fu Xingnan if she wanted to go together with her. Fu Xingnan looked at the disappearing back of Xixing. She knew that Xixing's last words were meant for her to hear, and for her to pass it on to Wen Han. Silently looking at the battlefield filled with ravines, Fu Xingnan suddenly felt a bit of fear in her heart. If she had come alone to look for Ning Cheng, then maybe before she left, Ning Cheng would have already killed her. But compared to Xixing, she was not just a little bit worse. After Ning Cheng left, he did not feel much joy. Compared to the average cultivators, his strength was more than enough to make them laugh. However, Ning Cheng knew that his strength was far from enough. This time he would go to the Heavenly Dao public square. Maybe he would meet Wen Han, or even that sickly man from the Red Star Sword faction. If he met that sickly man, then he would not have anything to say, and would just run away. But if he met Wen Han, Ning Cheng would not be willing to run away. He and this person did not know each other, yet this person had plotted against him several times to kill him. How could Ning Cheng let go of Wen Han? He was not someone who would slap his face on one side, and then immediately send the other side to the other side. In a completely unreasonable situation, when people slapped him, if he did not return 10 slaps, then he would absolutely not feel comfortable in his heart, not to mention that Wen Han wanted to kill him. It was a pity. If his golden core had not been burnt by the flames, then with his profound core 7th level cultivation, he would definitely be able to kill that soul essence 3rd level female cultivator. Moreover, with his profound core 7th level cultivation, he estimated that he would not be afraid of Wen Han. Profound core 7th level was equivalent to the late stages of the profound core realm, while profound core 6th level was equivalent to the intermediate stages of the profound core realm. The gap between them was not as simple as just a single level. He must cultivate to the profound core 7th level before going to the Heavenly Dao public square. Ning Cheng thought until here and immediately stopped. He did not have any backing in the Tian continent, although Elder Bei was good to him, but that was because he was also a disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. In other words, Elder Bei must have had the same attitude towards Wen Han. With just a little more than 10 million spirit stones on him, would he be able to cultivate to the profound core 7th level? It would be great if he had a few spiritual mist pills. The spiritual mist pills were the best pills for profound core cultivators to break through their bottlenecks. He also had a few mist orchids on him, but unfortunately, he did not have the ability to turn the mist orchids into spiritual mist pills. The spiritual mist pill was a rank 5 profound pill, as such he was not able to refine it. Ning Qing rubbed his head. Strength, ah strength. How could I be so stupid? Ning Qing suddenly remembered that he still had 1,000,000 contribution points, although these contribution points could not be exchanged for soul condensing pills, but he could exchange them for spiritual mist pills. No, I should first go to the place where I did the last assignment. Ning Qing thought of the contribution points, and immediately thought of the ancient immortal cave where he did the last assignment, causing his heart to immediately look forward to it. At that time, before he had left, he had warned the life essence of the ancient immortal cave. He had told the life essence to remember to bury some good things in the place. Maybe that life essence would really be fooled by him. Thinking of this, Ning Qing's heart immediately turned fiery. He no longer had the thought of returning to the academy to exchange for the spiritual mist pills. Under the flashing of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, he instantly rushed towards the wasteland where the great Liang True Country and the northern Shang True Country had once fought, which was also the place where the ancient immortal cave had appeared. The twin wings of the heavenly clouds had already reached rank 2, as such Ning Qing unscrupulously wielded it at this time. In just a short day, Ning Qing once again arrived at this place. This place was still desolate, with potholes everywhere, and with the broken weapons and magical weapon fragments lying around, it made this place look even more desolate. Ning Qing put away the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, as he fully stretched out his spiritual consciousness. He quickly found the place where he had disappeared, and then quickly escaped through the earth into the ground. With Ning Qing's current cultivation, although he could not use the earth escape technique to escape. Using the earth escape technique to enter the ground, he did not feel any pressure at all. Ning Qing originally did not cultivate an earth attribute cultivation method, coupled with the fact that he had to find out if there was anything underground, coupled with the fact that his spiritual consciousness was limited underground, as such his speed was incomparably slow. Fortunately, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness was tempered in the chaotic star space, which made it incomparably powerful. Even if it was underground, the scope of his search was still far stronger than that of an average soul essence cultivator. After a whole day of searching, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness was exhausted, but he still could not find anything. Just when he was about to curse the life essence of the ancient immortal cave, he suddenly felt a tremor around him. Someone was fighting above. Ning Qing immediately came to understand. He quickly concealed his figure, as he carefully probed upwards with his spiritual consciousness. Immediately Ning Qing saw 2 soul essence 9th level cultivators engaged in an earth-shattering battle. The 2 people fighting were a man and a woman, moreover they did not seem to be too old. After watching for a while, Ning Qing felt that something was wrong. He found that the female cultivator seemed to be staggering a bit. This female cultivator should have been poisoned, Ning Qing immediately understood. To be able to poison a soul essence female cultivator, this poison was definitely not simple. Looking at the might of these 2 cultivators, he could tell that they were definitely disciples from a large academy. Thinking of this, Ning Qing's heart moved, as he immediately took out a crystal ball and began to record images. Jiang Jun, you beast, Tan Yushan must have been blind, to actually fancy a thing like you that is not even comparable to a pig or a dog. Today I finally understand, how did my master die? The female cultivator seemed to know that she would definitely die today, as she loudly cursed. The male cultivator called Jiang Jun did not speak a single word, but his actions were even more fierce. He even took out a talisman and brought it out. Ning Qing was an expert in refining talismans, as such when he saw the talisman, Ning Qing immediately knew that this male cultivator was using a rank 6 flame explosion talisman. From the looks of it, this male cultivator already had the absolute advantage, but now he still used the flame explosion talisman. It was obvious that he wanted to end the fight quickly. Ning Qing sighed. He really wanted to help, but not to say that he would die if he went out. Even if he did not die, once this male cultivator used the talisman, he would not have enough time to help. With a violent explosion, the female cultivator was blown away, but the male cultivator did not show any mercy, as a flying sword instantly pierced through the glabella of the female cultivator. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.